Born at the very bottom of society, this young man had no money, no power, and, frankly, nothing to his name. However, his chance to turn his life around opened up when the game era was released. Lin Jai relied on grinding to climb the rankings, just one step away from reaching the pinnacle. Today was the day that would decide it all. On the arena floor, he faced off against Bailey Changcheng, a sword saint ranked first among swordsmen, while he stood as the top warrior of era with the nickname Undying War Emperor. Lin Jai possessed incredible strength and flawless mechanics. His technique didn't have a single opening. Every sword strike he delivered targeted vital points. He fought like an Asura ascended from hell. On the opposite side, Bailey appeared significantly weaker, his defense crumbling rapidly and leaving him unable to retaliate. Bailey's weapon was shattered by Lin Jai's attack, and his health bar plummeted to the lowest possible level. Both the audience and the commentator were in agreement that the champion of the strongest path was about to be crowned. Lin Jai hoisted his heavy greatsword onto his shoulder, walked up to Bailey and wore a deeply satisfied smile. As he reached out to pull his opponent up with a heroic gesture, he said, "It looks like I've won this time." "I have indeed lost," Bailey said, swallowing a mouthful of blood, before suddenly breaking into a cunning grin. "No, I can't lose. How could I possibly lose here? As long as I bring out that power, your efforts aren't even worth mentioning." Then, his sword, which had been broken in two, was repaired and became even stronger than before. The infinite weapon durability effect was activated, and the cost for that effect was 50,000 yuan. Lin Jai was stunned. Damn, that bastard Bailey was actually playing pay-to-win right in the middle of a match. While he was still staring in disbelief, Bailey lunged to attack. Lin Jai hurriedly composed himself to fight back, but the momentum of the battle seemed to have shifted. "You're so naive. Do you really think you can change your fate just by working hard? I'm afraid you'll never understand," Bailey said, his voice dripping with arrogance. Everything that followed happened so fast that Lin Jai could barely track his movements. That was because Bailey had spent another 900,000 yuan to activate a teleportation effect, appearing behind Lin Jai before spending an additional 1.2 million yuan to activate the one-hit kill skill. Then Bailey's sword pierced through Lin Jai's chest. A system status window with a bright red warning appeared before him, like a grim reaper arriving to settle his fate. "You have been defeated by Bailey Changcheng. The loser's account will be permanently deleted and all assets will be transferred to the winner." Lin Jai gritted his teeth in agony, unable to believe he had lost in such a way. As his body collapsed, he struggled to maintain a shred of clarity and demanded, "Why did you betray me? Answer me. Why would you rather cheat than defeat me fairly? Why break the promise we made?" "I'm sorry, Lin Jai. Let's be brothers again in the next life." Bailey didn't respond, offering only a callous apology before delivering another blow to Lin Jai. With that strike, Lin Jai had no way to recover, and the warning message in front of him changed, stating that he had lost his eligibility to compete. Lin Jai felt his body fatting away. He had truly failed. He had failed in a way that left him completely unwilling to accept. He had been just one step away from reaching the supreme throne of Era. This time he had even risked his life, but ultimately he failed entirely due to his opponent's treachery. Lin Jai thought to himself, if he could live again, he would definitely use every means necessary to climb to that throne. "Warning, you have lost your player eligibility," was the last line of text Lin Jai read. Then, for some reason, his eyes snapped open. The sensation of being pierced through the chest was far from pleasant and left his breathing completely erratic. When he opened his eyes, Lin Jai was still panting heavily. Then he realized he was lying in his own bedroom. "Brother, why are you lying flat on the floor like that? Are you cosplaying a corpse?" a voice echoed from above. Lin Jai looked up, his pupils instantly dilating. Standing before him was his younger sister, Tixi. 3 years ago, she had fallen into a coma following a traffic accident. Without the full support of life-sustaining equipment in the intensive care unit, survival would have been impossible. Because of this, Lin Jai had used all his prize money earned from the game to pay for his sister's medical expenses, yet now she was standing right in front of him and her tone was quite spirited. Lin Jai jumped up, grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her repeatedly. "Little sister, are you okay? Weren't you lying in a hospital bed?" This time it was Tixi's turn to stare in shock. She pushed her brother onto the floor and then jumped on him, beating him up. "Damn it, has staying up all night made you stupid? Who was the one sitting in front of the screen all night waiting for the server to start? Why are you pretending to forget now?" Her words left Lin Jai even more confused. What was this about sitting up all night waiting for the server? He anxiously asked her for the date and the year. Though she didn't understand what had gone wrong with her brother, Tixie replied, "Today is the launch of the open beta for Era Online, you silly brother." Her words made Lin Jai want to swear even more. If that was the case, today was June 22nd, 5 years ago, and he had been reborn. Lin Jai instinctively reached out to touch his chest where Bailey's sword had pierced him. When he was betrayed, he had felt total despair, even blaming the heavens for cutting off his path to survival. Who would have thought that the scales of fate would suddenly tilt back in his favor? His life, his game, everything had a chance to start over from scratch. Lin Jai sat on the floor, his entire body trembling with a mixture of emotions. Even though he had failed once, he had been given a chance to redo it. If that was the case, Lin Jai vowed that this time, at any cost, he would stand at the peak of Era and settle the debts from his past life. He quickly calculated, with the savings from 3 years of work plus 100,000 borrowed from loan sharks, he could buy a gaming helmet and start over. That object, which looked like a motorcycle helmet, was actually a VR headset for the game Era. Over time, the game developed in parallel with the human world, creating a sensation. Era opened up a world full of mystery, infinity, and magnificent beauty, and everyone was drawn to exploring this high-quality virtual reality world. In his previous life, Lin Jai was known as the Undying War God. Relying on his wisdom, relentless effort, standard equipment, and perfect technique, he had risen continuously. People praised him as a skilled player, and among the amateur gaming community, Lin Jai soon became famous. That battle could have brought Lin Jai the title of the strongest player, but who would have expected him to be betrayed by his closest friend, Bailey Cheng? Perhaps he had been blinded by his desire for that title. Lin Jai truly wondered when he had started planning his betrayal. But now those things no longer mattered. It was better to seize the opportunity to rewrite his life. And so he put on the gaming helmet, and a streak of light flashed before his eyes, transporting him into the virtual reality world. Just like in his past life, the first step after logging in was choosing a profession. Previously, the official team of Era Online never released any game guides or reviews, so every player entered this world with total ignorance and had to discover everything for themselves. But for Lin Jai, a veteran player of 5 years, Era had almost no secrets left for him. Gaining power and exploring would be much easier. That was his greatest advantage in this life. Reborn, Lin Jai was determined to complete everything he hadn't achieved in his previous life. Naturally, the most important goal was to reach the pinnacle of the game, becoming the undisputed strongest player. I, the King of Technique, have returned. Returning to Newbie Village, Lin Jai was no longer the novice he had been in his past life, though the attitude of other players toward him was truly something to behold. Seriously, what year is it and there's still someone playing a warrior? Is he crazy? That's the lowest tier profession in the entire system. Even a dog would turn its nose up at it. He doesn't even have a decent weapon, yet he walks around with such a cocky look. What is this poor guy trying to pretend to be? Lin Jai ignored the whispers and gossip about him. He had truly chosen to walk the old path, becoming a warrior with abysmal starting attributes. Lin Jai still remembered a conversation with Bailey 2 years ago, when he had said that even if he were reborn, he would still choose this profession, a statement Bailey had found very hard to understand. Because to him, only low-level players chose to be warriors. They couldn't afford expensive equipment, couldn't cast flashy spells, and could only rely on their naturally high health to charge to the front lines and soak up damage. To put it bluntly, warriors were born to be cannon fodder. If you really want to experience the strongest playstyle in this game, you should choose a swordsman like me, elegant and critical, Bailey had said back then. But Lin Jai held a deep belief in the greater power belonging to the warrior. They possessed incredible vitality in every adversity. The tougher the enemy, the stronger they became, pushing through every danger to survive. Only then could one become an undying war god, a title belonging only to players who had survived countless grueling battles. But are you sure that title will still exist after today? Bailey had asked. I don't know, let's make a bet. After returning today, I will become the undying war god. Ending his reminiscence, Lin Jai returned to Newbie Village. Warriors had a natural advantage in health, so even being very poor, they wouldn't be one-shot by minor bosses. Moreover, after completing quests, players could advance their warrior line professions, which was the career advantage he had set his sights on in his previous life. the berserker, who converted health into combat power. As for the players with money, they only considered the professions that dealt the highest damage or looked the coolest, like mages, swordsmen, hunters, or assassins. Therefore, 9 out of 10 groups on the streets were mostly composed of these damage-dealing professions. However, the data on monsters was extremely unbalanced in the early stages of the game. They probably couldn't even stand their ground, let alone stand there dealing damage. Warriors were different. They had the advantage of survivability from the start. Furthermore, Lin Jai could use his deep understanding of game mechanics to compensate for the weaknesses of this profession. Very quickly, the first quest, Wet Behind the Ears, was issued, requiring Lin Jai to report to Alit in Mio Town within 5 minutes. He was the novice guide NPC. Seeing the stern expression that didn't match his ragged clothes at all, Lin Jai suddenly felt a wave of nostalgia. He never expected to meet this old man again. Before he could speak, he heard someone shouting, "Hey, you trash warrior, you've bumped into me." He looked up to see a level 2 paladin named Balai. "You want to go through there? I, in the name of the holy light, demand 1 coin from you or you're not passing through here," he said. Paladins were one of the most popular professions for big spenders in the early game, a versatile role that combined damage dealing, healing, and crowd control. It seemed Balai had already reached level 2 only half an hour after the server opened, a classic maneuver that had been exposed on the forums in his past life. After creating their character, they would spend a lot of money to buy the novice experience pack, then exploit the level difference to bully the weak and specialize in collecting protection money. Balai's arrogant demeanor was truly an eyesore. Lin Jai also knew that such people actually understood nothing about the gameplay in reality, and their equipment didn't even meet the requirements. In other words, they were just paper tigers. The best starting reward for every new player was 10 pocket coins. Even if he only collected 1 cent from everyone, there would still be a profit, but Lin Jai had no intention of letting the other guy take advantage of him, even for a single coin. "Why should I give you money?" he retorted. Balai, perhaps having never met anyone as stubborn as him, raised his voice immediately. "Because I'm stronger than you, delete your account and make a new one, you idiot." As he spoke, his hand reached for his sword hilt. However, before his sword could even clear the scabbard, his wrist was caught by Lin Jai. His strength was immense, leaving the opponent unable to move regardless of what they tried. That was one of the natural talents of a warrior, grip enhancement, meant to help reduce the risk of dropping weapons. Now it was used to neutralize Balai's resistance. Grip enhancement? Balai didn't seem to believe his ears. Is it that useless talent that even dogs wouldn't pick, which only helps you hold a weapon tighter? The more the other person talked, the more pressure Lin Jai applied with his grip. To others, it might indeed be a useless talent, but to him, it was the strongest. He applied a little more force, and the weapon in Balai's hand fell out. The man who had been bullying and aggressive just moments ago now burst into tears when he saw Lin Jai disarm him with his bare hands. This was the unexpected effect of grip enhancement, a talent everyone had previously deemed useless. This effect would become increasingly powerful as strength attributes increased. If one's own strength stat was higher than the opponent's, one could easily use it to disarm them. Now, Lin Jai at level 1 was already able to disarm Balai with his bare hands, proving that this level 2 paladin had lower strength than a new character and hadn't even distributed any points into strength. He was clearly just an idiot who didn't know how to play the game. Moreover, other than Lin Jai, there was probably no one who knew that in later skill upgrades, the grip enhancement talent would become even more powerful, evolving into Titan Grip, one of the strongest professional talents. This was a legendary skill known for the ability to wield a massive two-handed dragon-slaying greatsword with just one hand. However, the prerequisite for this evolution remained choosing the grip enhancement talent during character creation. While Lin Jai was lost in thought, he suddenly noticed the people around him dispersing and several guards appeared before him. Seeing this, Balai behind him started shouting and playing the victim. "Damn it, you're done for, causing trouble in a safe zone, you'll be executed on the spot by the guards. I swear in the name of the holy light that this guy, Lin Jai, assaulted someone in public." Lin Jai didn't panic, even though the guards with spears in Newbie Village were enough to one-shot level 1 or level 2 players. Instead, he bluntly admitted that he had assaulted Balai. Seeing this, the guy laughed wildly as if he'd hit the jackpot. Look, he admitted it, punish him severely. But this was a defensive action, Lin Jai continued, possibly explaining his situation in detail after that. Thus, the guards suddenly changed direction and focused entirely on the other man. When Balai saw the guards preparing to bring their weapons down on his head, he became panicked. He had spent 100,000 to buy the big VIP package for novices. Surely he wasn't going to be punished and have his account deleted here. But NPCs remained NPCs, always working within their parameters, and anyone causing trouble in a safe zone would be treated by these NPCs as an enemy of righteousness. As for the other side, no matter how ruthless the measures used to deal with the mastermind, one wouldn't be punished and might even be compensated. Lin Jai understood that better than anyone, which was why he remained as calm as could be when the guards arrived. As expected, Balai was subsequently punished, and he was compensated with 1 gold coin according to the system's regulations. Balai was so angry he could see stars, and the others, no matter how much they disliked Lin Jai, didn't dare to provoke him again after witnessing this reversal. Carrying his spoils of 1 coin, Lin Jai walked away peacefully. He hadn't yet spoken to Alit because he had been interrupted by Balai. Now he finally walked over to him and sat down comfortably. "Long time no see, Alit," Lin Jai said first. On the old man's weathered face, a look of confusion was apparent. "Young adventurer, you recognize me? The server has only been open for 1 day. We are not only acquaintances but almost close friends. It's been at least 5 years since we last met, Alit." Naturally, Alit didn't believe Lin Jai was telling the truth, treating it as a long-winded joke. He didn't take offense and simply did his job, offering Lin Jai a reward package for beginners. There were 3 options: 10 gold coins, 3 basic health potions, or a rough sword specialized for a swordsman. Every passerby thought that anyone stupid would choose the money, especially a dirt-poor warrior, when those 10 coins were worth at least 100,000 on the black market. However, Lin Jai's choice went against the crowd. He chose the 4th option because, in his past life, it wasn't until 3 years later that people discovered there were hidden choices in the novice quests. Alit seemed surprised while the crowd began to criticize him. Is this guy insane? Is he dreaming? Where would a 4th option come from? Facing the old man's searching gaze, Lin Jai spoke very calmly. "The campfire before dawn will be extinguished twice." "Impossible, where did you hear that?" Alit's expression became even more incredulous. "When the black moon sinks into eternal night, forgotten things will return, creeping through the cracks of time. From the ashes, the fire that burns is both the remains of the ancient gods and the dawn of a new era." Lin Jai said slowly, "Do you still remember the code you gave me back then, Alit?" Time felt like it had returned to his past life 5 years ago, when Lin Jai had completed a hidden quest to protect Alit's family from monsters. At that time, the man had been so moved he couldn't stop crying. "I don't know how to thank you, Lin Jai. I'm just a novice guide NPC, so I really don't have any significant rewards to give. But even if it's the smallest possibility, if one day you ever need my help, let me know with this signal. Even if I change my identity and the system no longer recognizes you, I will always remember you. You are my lifesaver." What Lin Jai just read out loud was the secret code Outlet had told him in his past life. A flicker of surprise crossed the old man's eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. Of course, Outlet did not remember the events of the previous life, but he was now certain that Lin Jai was a very important person to him. The conditions to trigger the hidden quest were thus fulfilled. As for Lin Jai, he indeed unlocked the 4th reward pack, not a starter reward but a returning player reward. In his past life, Lin Jai was just 1 step away from becoming the strongest, but in the end he was defeated by unfair tactics. Although injustice was commonplace in this world, he refused to accept it. With that thought, Lin Jai decisively chose that 4th reward and immediately received an initial talent stone. This item allowed him to acquire an additional talent. The surrounding crowd was stunned by Lin Jai again and again. "Damn, is that a customizable talent gemstone? Each account can only link a talent once at the start. This is something you can't buy even by throwing money at the game." Lin Jai gripped the stone tightly. In this life, he wanted to become the strongest, and he needed the best of everything from the very beginning. This hidden quest was the first step toward changing his destiny. And so, Lin Jai used the stone to select his 2nd talent, Oath of the Sword. Outlet said that Oath of the Sword was a talent created by the legendary sword Saint Casimel. The practitioner would be considered a sworn bearer of the blade, gaining supernatural swordsmanship abilities but being restricted to fighting only with a sword for the rest of their life. It was a massive limitation, so he couldn't help but confirm again if Lin Jai was certain about this decision. Of course I am, he replied. A moment ago, Lin Jai had made the others green with envy, but now that choice turned him into the laughingstock of the crowd. They started gossiping. Haha, he actually chose Oath of the Sword. Are there still idiots today who choose swordsmanship as their second talent? Choosing a low-tier trash weapon and then being confident enough to master it? What a total noob. Unlike them, Outlet did not disparage Lin Jai's choice. He said that the strongest weapon wasn't the sword itself but the one wielding it. Therefore, he firmly believed that someone as determined as him would achieve great things. After saying thank you, Lin Jai took his leave. In his past life, he had to reach level 30 to get a second talent. Yet, in this life, he had managed to get his hands on one right from the opening. Now, his combat power was incredibly high, allowing him to level up extremely fast. The distance to the throne of the strongest was one step closer. The initial advantage gained by whaling drops off rapidly after level 5. Those who play the finance game from the start have no choice but to pour more and more money into the game if they want to maintain their lead. But a F2P player who relies solely on skill to level up like him is the most reliable path. Even a crude iron sword can get the job done. The sword doesn't possess the violent stats of an axe, nor the suppression power of a spear, and it's nowhere near as flashy or unique as a magic staff. However, besides him, no one realized that a seemingly ordinary sword is actually the weapon that requires the most true, skillful mastery. In Lin Jai's past life, he chose the grip strength enhancement talent at the start, then picked an iron sword and headed out to slay monsters to begin leveling up. But this time, he had the initial talent stone obtained from Outlet. This inadvertently caused him to skip the crude iron sword, so currently, Lin Jai had no weapon. This meant that if he had made different choices in this life, the story would have veered in a completely different direction. And when the story takes a turn, perhaps the ending will change as well. The name Bai Li flashed through Lin Jai's mind. He told himself that before meeting him again, he had to become even stronger. The bitter end he encountered in his past life must be completely reversed in this one. Lin Jai sought out a starter weapon stall by the roadside. There were a few people huddled around looking at it, but in their eyes this was nothing but a pile of scrap metal. Lin Jai walked forward slowly and picked up a poor-quality wooden stick to examine it. It was simply a stick that hadn't undergone any processing with an attack power of 1. Its attack method was blunt, so it should be classified as a club. Yet, according to the system information, this item was classified as both a sword and a club. This stirred a thought in Lin Jai's mind. Please spare me, I'm just a normal player. Buying and selling equipment is my only source of income, the vendor begged earnestly. However, the group of players still wouldn't quit. They continued to smash the stall and curse loudly. A normal player? A player so cowardly you don't even know how to fight? How interesting. You should crawl back to playing house. Why are you being such an eyesore in the game? Lin Jai wasn't someone who liked to meddle in other people's business, but he found the guy's actions so offensive that he spoke up. People who make a living are still players. No one is higher than anyone else. There's no food that isn't prepared by a chef. There's no potion that isn't crafted by an alchemist. If it weren't for weapons made by blacksmiths, I'm afraid most combat-oriented players wouldn't dare step outside the city gate. Having said that, Lin Jai stopped and turned to the vendor to ask how much the stick in his hand was. The vendor was stunned, then stammered that it was 1 coin. Meanwhile, the guy he had just lectured showed obvious irritation. Who do you think you are, Lin Jai? A warrior, he replied. The result was as expected, and the opponent burst into raucous laughter. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. A warrior? Are you joking? Lin Jai couldn't be bothered with him. He took 1 coin from the compensation he got from Ba Lai and threw it to the vendor. The wooden stick was now his. He had originally intended to leave immediately, but the guy he had just mocked clearly didn't intend to let him go like that. Just now, you ruined my fun. Can't you see I was doing a good deed? Lin Jai looked at him, feeling like he had just heard a joke. A good deed? Are you referring to you bullying others? Have you been scammed without even knowing it? You rookie warrior, with that wooden stick in your hand, if it fell to the ground, it would definitely be worthless trash that no one would bother to pick up. Yet you still spent a gold coin, still don't get it? That vendor is a scammer, you idiot. Just as he said, the kid selling the items had already packed up and fled quickly after earning that gold coin. And the guy didn't want to bother with Lin Jai anymore. He felt that if he had been scammed, he deserved it, so he left with his lackeys. Lin Jai, of course, knew that wooden sticks could be found at any blacksmith shop in the starter villages, but even if they were free, no one would bother taking them. But new players often lacked information, so they would try to buy one for the cheapest price of 1 coin. That's why many wooden stick stalls were opened, using the lowest price to make newbies feel like they were getting a bargain. This was a classic scam when New Era was first launched. But Lin Jai was no newbie. He was an immortal war god who had handled thousands of divine artifacts barehanded. His tactile sense wouldn't lead him astray. He had chosen to buy it just now because this wooden stick possessed both the characteristics of a sword and a club. The normal weapon classification system wouldn't make this mistake unless it was a divine artifact that hadn't been appraised. Even if it couldn't be appraised yet, Lin Jai could still use it as a sword. Immediately after Lin Jai obtained his first weapon, all the newbies received a world quest called the Horror Demon Attack. Their mission was to protect the gates of Mel Town from being invaded by the horror demons while also defending the crystal at the center of the town. Lin Jai understood clearly that Mel Town was located on a strategic front line of the New Era continent and was one of the places hardest hit by plagues and disasters. This led to horror demons constantly spawning level 2 monsters with very high attack power outside the northern gate of the town. In his past life, 1 year after the open beta of New Era was released, Mel Town had permanently disappeared from the continent's map, likely destroyed by this very army of horror demons. The other newbies, of course, had no idea about that danger and were currently very excited because killing monsters granted a lot of experience points. Among the players flocking to the North Gate was Lin Jai. He was stopped by the guards with the excuse that even though it was an emergency, they didn't want new players going to the North Gate to throw their lives away. The guards advised him to return to the other 3 gates and clear out the low-level monsters outside before coming here. However, Lin Jai was extremely resolute. No need, just let me pass. Once you leave town, you won't receive any newbie protection mechanics, the guard continued to warn. Fine, I will find opponents of similar level for myself, he replied. But in truth, even if the levels were higher, it didn't matter. Seeing that Lin Jai was so determined, the guard opened the gate for him. At that moment, Lin Jai received a notification. Because he had done a brave deed, his reputation in Mel Town had increased by 100 points, reaching friendly. New Era has a set of implicit rules that encourage players to push their own limits. If an NPC believes that a player is attempting a high-difficulty quest, it will increase their favorability, thereby triggering hidden quests. Just as Lin Jai expected, a guard rushed after him. Wait, if you insist on doing this, could I ask you for a favor? Brave explorer. The system immediately sent a notification to trigger a side quest chain called the Captain's Request. That was a quest originally intended for players level 3 and above. Although Lin Jai was currently only level 1, this was completely within his expectations. My 3 men are trapped in the camp of the horror demon leader, Griffin the Singer. I beg you to help me collect their bodies so I can hold a funeral for them, Captain Lance requested. However, what Lin Jai intended to do for him went far beyond collecting bodies. Using the method of challenging beyond one's level could help players receive unexpected rewards, and now that might also change the future of Mel Town. With that thought, Lin Jai said, "What you need isn't a funeral, Captain Lance. You know my name." The other party was extremely surprised and asked back. "I will personally rescue them from the hands of Griffin the Singer and save this Mel Town from his clutches. Prepare a celebration instead," Lin Jai replied confidently. Did he know who his opponent was? The destroyer of rookies, the singer Jerry. If he wanted to completely finish this dungeon, he had to be defeated by a player whose level was much lower than the dungeon's requirements. Therefore, before doing the quest, Lin Jai had to keep his level as low as possible. Although doing so would weaken his attack power based on his maneuvering and his understanding of the boss's mechanics, he could still completely confront a godlike boss-level creature starting at level 1. It's just that these things couldn't be told to others, and even if he did, it wasn't certain anyone would believe him. Sure enough, when Lance heard he was going to find Griffin, he was extremely panicked. He hurriedly tried to stop him. "No, that's impossible. If a miracle doesn't occur, just do your job well and wait for the singer Griffin to leave." "Don't worry, I am that miracle." Lin Jai's voice carried the arrogance of a powerhouse. In reality, his confidence was completely well-founded. In this life, he would personally tip the scales of fate in his own favor. As soon as he left the city gate, Lin Jai smelled the thick scent of blood, causing him to wince instinctively. That's right, New Era is a game with extremely high difficulty, filled with the designer's malice toward players. But even so, because of the high rewards, it still attracted players from all over the world to flock to it. Before Lin Jai, there were already several groups of players out there killing monsters. He was going alone while they had formed a team. It is true that the best strategy for a normal player is to team up. But Lin Jai was not a normal player. He originally intended to turn a blind eye and just pass by, but unexpectedly he heard a very familiar voice. "Yo, isn't this that fool who got scammed? What's up, still keeping that precious wooden stick of yours?" Brothers, look at him, heh. It turns out it's the guy we met in front of the wandering weapons stall. Lin Jai couldn't be bothered with him, just left him with 2 words, "boring," and then walked straight ahead. However, this group wasn't about to let him off so easily. A guy rushed out to block Lin Jai's path, looking him up and down and assessing him for a moment. "Hey, rookie warrior trying to solo monsters alone. Heh, seeing that ragged look, I know he's a noob. Wait until he's about to die, he'll definitely beg to join a team." The rest of the group also openly despised Lin Jai because not only was he a level 1 warrior, but he also carried a wooden stick as a weapon, feeling that even if he went along, he would just be a drag and not useful for anything. Lin Jai didn't want to argue, just sighed. While teaming up could reduce risks, the rewards had to be shared, so they dropped significantly. Soloing a monster would net 5 times the reward of a group, so why wouldn't he do it? In other words, in a case where one had enough strength, teaming up was, on the contrary, disadvantageous. Lin Jai wanted to go first, but the Knight class guy tried to grab him. Unexpectedly, he himself was knocked backward, even though his frame was significantly larger. "What the hell, what happened?" the guy shrieked. Lin Jai looked at him, filled with disdain, thinking to himself that this knight looked strong, but his body was unexpectedly weak. If he guessed correctly, the initial talent he chose was Judgment of Blazing Fire, which covered his whole body in holy flames and looked very powerful. But the price he had to pay was a decrease in 2 points of strength, and his body had also become as fragile as paper, which meant giving up the knight's ability to charge into battle. With that thought, Lin Jai couldn't help but say in a mocking tone, "A fire demon knight who only knows how to hide behind his team. Ha ha, what a coward." Seeing Lin Jai insult him, the knight still wanted to rush over to settle the score. But his action was cut short because the system notified Lin Jai that he had been noticed by a horror demon. The guy ran away quickly, then threw a line back to Lin Jai. "Ha ha, didn't expect that, did you? The horror demon wants to send you back to town for free, don't blame me." Lin Jai now realized that the knight had deliberately caused a scene, then lured the monster over to finish him off. Although his body was weak, his mind had a bit of calculation to it, quite different from the stupid Balai he met in town. He secretly calculated that killing one level 2 horror demon wasn't enough to level him up, which was perfect to keep his level at the lowest possible to face Griffin. Since he had to fight anyway, it would be convenient to warm up a bit. Seeing that Lin Jai didn't run but instead lunged toward the horror demon, the group was extremely surprised, thinking he had been scared stupid. Lin Jai lunged forward, full of confidence. He could see the enemy's movements clearly, and thus performed a perfect dodge. As a warrior, only by being close to death can one become stronger. Only by pushing oneself into a desperate situation can one become an immortal war god. Only by constantly testing dangers can he become the strongest in this life. "Wake up, idiot!" Lin Jai unleashed a critical strike, knocking away 6 HP from the enemy. Because it was angered, its attack power increased by 50% immediately. The crowd saw that and was scared out of their wits because this was the all-out strike of a monster. A newbie rushing out now was no different from seeking death, yet Lin Jai actually rushed out. Because his current strength intensity wasn't enough, he had to get closer to the opponent. And this time, when he lunged recklessly, his critical strike took 10 more HP from the horror demon. The weapon in its hand was knocked flying. Taking advantage of the fact that the horror demon was still clutching its head in pain, Lin Jai continued his attack. The flurry of blows rained down unceasingly like that. Only a moment later, he had successfully soloed it, receiving 100 experience points and 5 copper coins, never stopping in breaking his limits. This was the way to open the true new era. Lin Jai's display just now had truly exceeded the imagination of that group. No one believed that he had relied on only a wooden stick and moreover was only level 1 while soloing a level 2 horror demon. The knight thought he was just lucky, but their team captain had observed and realized the issue, then stood up and walked forward. Interesting, kid, you must be a player from some internal test version of New Era, right? You know this kind of maneuvering. A player with less than a few hundred hours clearly has no way to practice this. Want to team up with me? We're missing a pro, he proactively suggested in a friendly manner. But Lin Jai replied immediately that he wasn't interested. The other party didn't give up right away and continued. Going further this way, you intend to challenge the singer Griffin, right? The guide said a 5-man team was needed. Right now, my team already has 4 people, exactly missing one you. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Jai received a notification. Rex is inviting you to join, agree or not. So this annoying guy's name was Rex. To pull Lin Jai into his team, he even offered a 50-50 split of the rewards. However, Lin Jai still didn't budge an inch. 5 people were just the number the system recommended for challenging Griffin, not a strict requirement. Seeing Lin Jai's attitude, Rex began to break out in a cold sweat. You don't want to move on your own, do you? This kind of party dungeon just relying on one person's maneuvering isn't enough to clear the stage. Kid, listen up. The reward for defeating Griffin for the first time includes a special title and legacy equipment. Currently, there are no fewer than 20 teams across the server planning this, and our team is the one with the best chance. We want to team up with you, it's your luck, Rex said as if he were granting a favor and his lackeys nodded along. He added more information. In the second phase, Griffin will summon a few elite monsters. If you don't have a tank, you won't be able to fight back. You'll be wiped out in one go. Hearing this, Lin Jai laughed and swept his eyes of truth across them. Aren't you guys missing a tank and I just happen to be a warrior, right? Rex immediately shook his head vigorously, saying that he truly valued him. Feeling that his combat strength was perfectly suited for his elite squad, not because they lacked a tank and wanted to pull him in just to fill the spot. Lin Jai, of course, didn't believe it. He saw through this trap at a glance. They just wanted to find a disposable pawn to attract the boss's attention. Seeing Lin Jai with his eyes closed as if he were considering it a moment later, Rex chose his words and asked again, thinking he would refuse again. Unexpectedly, this time Lin Jai readily agreed. Of course, he wasn't an idiot. The difficulty and rewards of the boss dungeon battle are adjusted based on the number of participants. If the entire 5-man squad entered the match, the boss would activate full power mode. When defeated, it would drop special rewards. Anyway, after completing the hidden quest, the singer Griffin would be removed from the boss list permanently, so the rewards dropped by him were one of a kind. And in this life, Lin Jai wanted to become the strongest, so this reward was the most important thing for the upcoming leveling up. He agreed to join the team, but in his heart, he was already secretly calculating the opportunity to snatch this unique reward. Along the way to the entrance of the singer Griffin dungeon, Lin Jai casually disposed of quite a few horror demons. Rex's group looked at him and could only sigh in frustration. That idiot, before entering the dungeon you have to know how to save your energy, Rex muttered. Does this idiot know how hard it is to get health potions in the early stages? The mage standing next to him also echoed. Someone has already counted it. Killing 100 monsters only yields 2 copper coins, let alone dropping a green tier equipment. Besides the stuff given in the top-up package, very few players received green equipment on the first day the server was active, the knight named Hack added. Lin Jai finished off a pack of monsters and the wooden stick in his hand glowed, with a notification that it was searching for a host. Hack said again, stop looking, monster weapons aren't something players can use. This is what we call don't pick up items dropped on the ground. If you could easily pick up monster weapons and sell them, the price of goods on the first day of this game's server would have increased 100-fold. Clearly, Hack didn't know what Lin Jai was really looking for. He didn't care about the ragged weapons of the horror demons. It was just that the system kept notifying him that the wooden stick was looking for a host. Could it be that it wanted to merge with the equipment of some monster? With that thought, Lin Jai started searching again. After that, he found a blade and merged it with the wooden stick in his hand. Branches of the world tree are merging with the weapon. The notification line danced in front of Lin Jai, received the horror demon's sword receiving book. When critical hit increases, bleeding effect, critical hit rate minus 99%, attack plus 10, strength plus 1. Branches of the world tree? Lin Jai remembered. It seemed he had seen it at an auction 3 years ago. Their shapes could vary depending on the location and owner, but all of them had the original shape of a wooden stick. The great thing about this legacy weapon is that it can wrap around everything to turn them into swords. To be more precise, it is a divine artifact like a sword hilt. In the end, this legacy divine artifact was sold for 100 million. Even Lin Jai himself hadn't expected that the weapon he spent 1 coin to buy was this divine artifact. In the early stages, players only had white equipment or even nothing in their hands, but even the most basic monsters were equipped with green-tier items. The level of confrontation between players and opponents was fundamentally unequal. But Lin Jai could utilize the world tree branches to pick up weapons that mortals couldn't use from the hands of monsters, and moreover, could continuously change them without losing money. This was truly a good deal falling from the sky. They stepped through the dungeon gate. Inside, the situation was in chaos. Before Lin Jai's squad, there was a group of guards yelling and desperately protecting Mel Town while fiercely attacking the singer Griffin. "Don't go over there, this is the boss battle animation. Wait for the scene to end before you can enter the battle," Rex reminded. He calculated silently. Just a few more seconds, those 3 NPCs will be smashed flat. After that, Griffin will enter a rest phase. The aggression level and damage-dealing ability will both decrease. He signaled for everyone to wait for his call before rushing in together. However, Lin Jai had no interest in watching the rest of this animation. And so he said loudly, "Everyone stop and go back. Captain of the Guard Lance is waiting for you all." His action left Rex's group with their jaws dropped in astonishment. These people weren't players, they were just NPCs playing the role of helping the plot progress, and they even helped weaken the boss a little. Yet Lin Jai didn't know how to take advantage of it, and even called for them to stop fighting and go back to town. And those guards, after hearing the name Lance, actually stopped fighting and then followed Lin Jai's words and left. Explaining this move, he stated that his combat style was to engage directly. It was a faster way to enter the battle than waiting for the cutscene to play out. However, the price a player pays for forcing their way into a scene is that the enemy becomes even more aggressive, especially for characters who rush into the battlefield first, and those are usually warriors tasked with tanking and drawing aggro. "Is this guy stupid starting the fight head-on like that?" one team member shouted. Rex immediately ordered the other 3 to ignore Lin Jai and do their own thing, while he kept his distance from the boss's aggro range. He never intended to be in the same boat as them from the start, and Lin Jai's actions this time weren't out of stubborn recklessness, but because he had a reason that compelled him to do so. The world timeline had now changed, and the direction of the quest could potentially shift as well. In this life, he was the one disrupting the timeline, the butterfly effect that changed destiny, which was why he had to be even more proactive. Watching Lin Jai engage Griffin directly, the group naturally didn't believe he could succeed in taking the boss down. Rex instructed his subordinates, "We've lured this pawn here to scout out the boss's skills. Now wait for the boss to finish off that idiot, and once it enters its first rest state, we'll rush in to take it down and claim the first kill reward." He felt his plan was absolutely perfect, but the guy next to him couldn't help but remind him, "Boss, but according to the system design, the rewards are split among the party members. He's going to take a portion of our experience and rewards." "I won't give him that chance, heh heh." A cunning smile appeared on Rex's face. Lin Jai received a notification that he had been kicked from the party. Although busy fighting Griffin, Lin Jai still had time to read the notification. He wasn't surprised or angry, it only proved his suspicion was correct. Those bastards only wanted to lure someone here to act as cannon fodder, whittling down the boss's HP to make it easier for them when they eventually stepped in. They believed that a 5-person team would struggle to deal with the chanter Griffin, so a level 1 novice player had no chance of defeating him. However, they had miscalculated because Lin Jai was not a novice at all, but a warrior reborn from hell. Thinking this, he leaped up, aggressively confronting Griffin. His title as the Undying War God was no joke. Those observing from the outside suddenly witnessed a massive explosion, and Rex immediately became flustered, muttering, "Did I hear that wrong?" That explosion sounded like it tore through the air. Lin Jai was somehow still alive, and moreover, he didn't seem to be overwhelmed by Griffin. Lin Jai's eyes were filled with fierce determination, and the weapon in his hand became even sharper under the effect of the oath to the sword talent. After a while, Griffin's HP bar dropped to half and the mask on its face was cracked by Lin Jai's strikes. Only then did Hack standing outside realize the severity of the situation. Things didn't seem to be going according to their plan. Hey, wait, it looks like they're locked in a fierce struggle. Something's wrong here. By the time they realized something was off, Griffin had already entered its second form. Moving into this stage, the boss became even more aggressive. But Lin Jai had long anticipated that, and he was the one who wanted to push himself into the most dangerous situation. Seeing Griffin on the offensive while Lin Jai stood still without moving, the observers became strangely anxious. Is he stupid? Is he trying to tank a boss-level charged attack? He's done for. Get ready, it's our turn soon, prepare yourselves. With a loud boom, the earth shook and dust filled the air, instantly limiting visibility. It appeared Griffin's strike had landed, and everyone assumed Lin Jai would meet his end after this hit. Yet, while it was unimaginable to them, it wasn't to Lin Jai. He had chosen the warrior profession they deemed hopeless, only to create a miracle no one could have foreseen. You don't understand and you don't want to understand. In this world, not everyone is born with the right to choose. 5 years ago, in his past life before the game's server launched, Lin Jai had gone to the store to buy a gaming helmet. The shopkeeper said the current price was just for the peripherals. Once in the game, professions would be priced based on popularity, and those with money could choose top-tier damage professions. Those without money could only choose the lowest popularity support professions or tank professions that acted like cannon fodder. Back then, the warrior profession was even free for a limited time at launch. It was the most suitable choice for players looking to earn money through the game, and it was the perfect fit for the penniless Lin Jai of that time. As a normal citizen, he had discovered a startling truth right then. The way to seize opportunity was actually to let go of all other options. At this moment, the dust and sand had settled. Seeing Lin Jai use his weapon to block the boss's strike, the group could only mutter, "Impossible. A level 1 player like him shouldn't be able to block a blow like that." Yet Lin Jai had actually done it. In his past life and this one, by using the lowest cost with the highest intensity of effort in the most dangerous training environments, that was the best path for an ordinary person like him. Moreover, in this life, he was determined to seize the opportunity of his rebirth and hold firmly to the sword in his hand, trusting it completely, just as he trusted himself. The grip enhancement talent allowed Lin Jai to hold his weapon more securely, enabling him to hold the sword horizontally and use it like a shield. That was the reason he could block the enemy's attack head-on. After the failed attack, the boss exposed an opening, and that was the moment for Lin Jai's counterattack. He had given up all other opportunities precisely because he couldn't choose, and what remained before him was the only true opportunity. So what if the boss was as strong as a god? Even gods would perish by his hands. I will definitely become the strongest. That was the only intense thought running through Lin Jai's mind at this moment. Lin Jai swung his sword, screaming with a deadly tone, "Die, Griffin." The two sides refused to yield, rushing at each other with terrifying strength. But Lin Jai, with a razor-sharp will and immense power, overwhelmed his opponent. Looking at his fallen opponent, Lin Jai glanced at the system notification. "You have successfully defeated the chanter Griffin." But not long after, Lin Jai's body couldn't hold up, and he knelt to the ground. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Lin Jai sighed in relief, as with his current physique, resisting the boss's powerful attacks was a bit of a stretch. Lin Jai struggled to stand up, thinking, luckily, warriors have superior HP, there's still 1 bar of health left. The system reminded him, defeating the level 5 boss, Chanter Griffin, provides a 500% experience bonus and 2,350 experience points, leveling him up to level 2. The system panel appeared with his information. Lin Jai, level 2, human race, warrior class, no title. HP 145, no serial number. Rage 01, accumulated by taking or dealing damage, required to unlock skills. Attack power 1317, terror demon sword, defense 1, basic, constitution 8+1, agility 7, intelligence 1, spirit 1, willpower 3. Rex looked at this scene in complete shock, blurting out, "Did I see that wrong?" Rex was skeptical. It seems Griffin's second phase was terminated before it even finished. Ignoring the chatter, the system was updating. Timed quest completed. Congratulations on becoming the first player in the God Realm to defeat the Chanter Griffin. Your reputation in Meltown increases by 200. Your reputation in Meltown has reached worshipped over 300 points. As soon as the system finished the announcement, the light on the chanter griffin's chest blazed. Rex said with a jealous tone, "Damn it, this guy definitely won by using a bug. It wasn't a fair win." Unconvinced, he ordered, "The three of you go pick up the loot on the ground for me, we'll go in together." Even without participating in the battle, one could still receive most of the loot. Hack raised his hand to collect the loot, but he trembled and said, "Boss, I can't pick this up. The system warns that I have no eligibility to collect it." Despite seeing the warning, Hack was unwilling to give up. "What do you mean no eligibility? By what right can't I pick it up?" Rex then realized the problem. The chanter griffin was defeated by Lin Jai alone. "Just now, I kicked Lin Jai out of the party, so..." He clutched his head and screamed, "The rewards have nothing to do with us." This was a disaster. Instantly, a golden bell appeared. The system displayed info, "Golden Bell of the Chanter Griffin, a divine relic of inheritance. When used, it emits an extremely loud sound, providing a protective effect that can withstand a powerful attack. The shattering sound of the golden bell can knock back attackers. Limit, once per day." Lin Jai looked at the bell, thinking, the item dropped by Griffin is unexpectedly small. He quickly reached his hand toward the bell, and Lin Jai collected his spoils. Immediately, rays of light appeared around Lin Jai, along with gold coins being pulled toward him. Hack watched the gold coins in the pile fly toward Lin Jai and couldn't help but exclaim, "Damn!" Hack, unresigned, cursed loudly. "Damn it, clearly the loot was ours. By what right is he the only one getting it?" Rex raised his hand and said, "Calm down, Hack. Even if he took the loot, it doesn't matter." He smirked and said, "According to Era's treasure hunting mechanic, if a player dies, they drop all items collected within the last 24 hours. That means if we rush in now and kill him, all the rewards will belong to us." Rex speculated about the outcome. Hack was still worried. "But boss, this warrior took down Griffin alone. His strength is terrifying." A trite stood nearby and said, "What are you afraid of? This guy was just heavily wounded. His HP is down to 3%. He said, opening one eye, and the system notified him that Hawk Eye was in use. A trite stroked his chin and said, "Just one powerful attack will be enough to kill this guy." Rex picked up his blade and said, "Brothers, enable PvP mode. Today, Lin Jai has the luck to enter the dungeon, but he doesn't have the luck to make it out alive." Then the group quickly walked toward Lin Jai. While he stood there calmly, Lin Jai was calculating. Killing one boss had earned him 100 gold coins, not to mention a large quantity of alchemy materials. Lin Jai looked at the gold coins he had in the system and said, "Currently, one gold coin is worth 12,000 yuan, so this is worth 1.2 million yuan. Today was a huge haul." Rex stood behind Lin Jai and mocked, "Congratulations, you foolish pawn. Now you've proven you have some skills." Lin Jai only turned his head and said, "You betrayed our cooperation and kicked me out of the party on your own. It's too late for apologies, Rex." He waved his fingers and said, "We only stayed out of it because we trusted your strength. Look, sure enough, you single-handedly completed a 5-person difficulty quest. Very impressive." Then Rex said with a scheming face, "This achievement at least partially belongs to us, right?" Instantly, a red notification flashed. "System warning, you have received a critical wound." Lin Jai spat blood. "System reminder, before returning to a safe area, your maximum HP is temporarily reduced by 90%. All attributes are halved." Rex said triumphantly, "We knew your situation would end here." He narrowed his eyes and warned, not very kindly, "Remember, the people cooperating with you are the famous villain group. Our principle is..." Rex revealed his true nature. "If we kill monsters, we also kill people. If we cooperate, we will betray." A trite stood behind and drew his bow, and Rex laughed smugly, saying, "And you, Lin Jai." Then he pointed his finger at Lin Jai and said, "Time to spit everything out." Lin Jai stood calmly, watching a glowing arrow fly past his ear. It must be the hunter's Hawkeye skill. Watching the arrow hit the pillar behind him, Lin Jai guessed it could significantly improve accuracy, making it almost certain to hit targets in open areas. He had intentionally tried to intercept the arrow. He didn't beat around the bush, looking at the group and asking directly, "What do you mean?" Rex said generously, "It's very simple. Not only all the loot from the Chanter Griffin, but also the wooden stick in your hand. Take your clothes off and give everything to me." He pointed at Lin Jai arrogantly and said, "And if you kneel down and beg for mercy, we won't kill you." Rex was both arrogant and cruel. He said, "But I want you to leave this place naked so everyone can see you humiliated to the core." Like a madman, he laughed out loud and said, A naked warrior, a poor naked guy who thought that by getting lucky and hitting a boss's weak point, he could climb up. In reality, you're still just a foolish dog at the bottom of society trying to climb high. Lin Jai listened to him as if he were hearing a joke. He snorted and said, "If it's come to this." Lin Jai raised the weapon in his hand and shouted, "Naturally, I refuse." Looking at Rex's face, Lin Jai said, "You are nothing more than a pebble on the road helping me become stronger. I won't hesitate to step on you and move forward." He provoked them, "I won't even care when or where you appear under my feet." Lin Jai wiped the blood from his mouth and said arrogantly, "If you have the guts, come kill me, Rex. I'm practically begging for it." Rex put his hands on his hips and retorted, "A fine refusal, very fine." He immediately ordered a trite behind him to draw his bow. "Kill him," the system notified. Hawk-Eye activated. Lin Jai immediately took out the golden bell he had just received. From the golden bell, countless pink rays of light erupted, carrying powerful energy. A massive explosion occurred there. No one was prepared. After the thick dust settled, Rex's group could finally see the situation clearly. He cursed, "Damn it, this is the divine relic dropped by Griffin, the golden bell." Hack asked curiously, "What does the golden bell do?" "Invincibility." Lin Jai stood inside the golden bell responding, "Of course it's not invincibility, it buys me 1 second of rest." Hack said contemptuously, "What's the use of 1 second? What's the difference between dying early or dying late?" Lin Jai smirked, "Because upgrading the skill enhancement takes 1 second. Then he stepped out of the golden bell. Lin Jai said, "After that I'll crush you 3 bastards." A system notification appeared before his eyes. Level 2, free skill points can be used. He used 1 free skill point and learned a unique warrior skill, Deadly Breath. When a warrior falls into a dangerous situation, the body triggers Deadly Breath to temporarily recover a small amount of HP. If the user is on the verge of death or surrounded by enemies, this skill will restore a large amount of HP. Lin Jai thought to himself and even affirmed in his heart that he could surpass the warrior's life limit. A trite panicked, "This guy's HP is fully recovered. How did he do it? He even broke the restriction of the wound." Lin Jai with deadly eyes said, "Strength from hell, want a taste, gentlemen?" The mage shouted, reminding them, "Don't let him scare you. His sword is still stuck in the ground. Take this chance and rush him." Lin Jai didn't waste any more words. His eyes flashed, and he lunged forward like an arrow. Rex was startled by the speed, asking himself, "Is this Lin Jai?" He lunged and punched a trite in the face. While Rex hadn't finished his sentence, "What's happening?" The speed was too fast for them to react, and they only caught an explosion where a trite had been standing. Hack and Mikey opened their eyes wide, unable to help but exclaim in their hearts, "Too fast." They panicked. "Fists, he's only using his fists." A trite died from a single punch. The system displayed grip strength enhancement when not using a weapon. Received unarmed combat skill enhancement. Rex saw things were not going well and ordered, "Mikey, use burst ice to hold him back." Mikey replied, "Got it." Mikey quickly cast burst ice. System reminder, frozen, cannot move. At this moment, Hack grabbed his blade and flew up, wanting to take advantage of the sneak attack. "I've been sick of you for a long time. These ice crystals will be your grave. Die." But Lin Jai had quickly dodged it. System notification, strength test, escape the restraint of the ice crystals. He raised his fist, his eyes wide and filled with killing intent. Lin Jai threw a punch and Hack was sent flying. Hack screamed in pain. Mikey couldn't believe it. "This is illogical. My ice storm can't control him." Lin Jai turned, answering calmly, "As long as you have enough strength, you can use force to break free from restraints. Ice magic of this level is just a small matter to me." Mikey was extremely surprised. "Your attributes were clearly reduced by half due to serious injury, so how is your strength stat still enough?" In his heart, he kept denying it. Looking at the battle aura surrounding Lin Jai, Mikey grew uneasy. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't look like an attribute that's been reduced. He turned to shout, "A trite, use your Hawkeye to check his attributes." But out of nowhere, Lin Jai had appeared beside him. He grabbed Mikey's hand and said, "No need." Then Lin Jai kindly reminded him, "That hunter was taken down by me with 1 punch earlier, forgot already." Only then did Mikey realize in horror, A trite, no, that's not right." He was so ashamed he became furious, yelling at Lin Jai, "Cheating, that's right, you must have cheated." Lin Jai's eyes widened, but Mikey continued to shout, "You are a cheater." Inside Lin Jai's heart, the word cheating echoed. He remembered Bailey's accusation, "You dare use a cheating weapon? Why would you treat me like that?" Bailey's verdict from back then echoed, It's useless to say anything now, you've already lost. Lin Jai shouted, only by giving up everything one believes in can one choose a path of no return, and I will absolutely not take that step. He seemed to lose his composure, pulling Mikey's hand hard and scolding, you bastards can't fight, so you only know how to slander others for cheating. Mikey was stunned, shouting in a pleading tone, You are very skilled, I've already surrendered, please don't kill me, I'll leave Rex's villain team immediately. But Lin Jai didn't let him go, saying, too late, system notification, grip force enhancement. Then he flicked his hand and Mikey was sent flying. An explosion erupted where he landed. As the dust and smoke faded, Lin Jai's towering figure stood there. Just then, a voice came from behind, interesting, you just personally cut off your last advantage, your profession is a warrior. Rex said with an arrogant tone, I know very well how you utilized your professional advantage to achieve this impossible feat. He gripped his blade tightly. You can unleash incredible power even in disadvantageous situations, especially when surrounded by a large number of enemies. System notification, warrior trait, fight to the death. When surrounded, attributes are significantly enhanced. State of being surrounded requires at least 3 enemies to be triggered. Rex said slowly, the state of being surrounded requires at least 3 enemies to be activated. Now there's only me left, so fight to the death cannot be triggered, your tricks will end here. Lin Jai wasn't panicked, answering, true, so I will straight up use one sword strike to send you back to the city. Rex used his enhancement, looking down on him, looks like you still don't understand the situation. Lin Jai, my assassin profession is a PK-oriented profession and combat ability is strongly enhanced in 1v1 situations. Currently, I clearly have the advantage, you're dead for sure. Rex was extremely smug, yelling at Lin Jai, now I'm going to take your dog life. He said this and quickly lunged toward Lin Jai with terrifying strength. Lin Jai looked at the person in front of him and secretly assessed. The special profession of an assassin is to exploit weaknesses. Any part of the body hit by an assassin's attack will have a debuff layer added. Now Lin Jai analyzed his own strengths. The most dangerous attack is a shot to the head which adds a vision loss debuff, consequently all other attacks will miss their target. If the arm is hit, a disarm debuff is applied. If the torso is hit, a bleeding debuff is applied. If the leg is hit, a crippling debuff is applied. He knew his own weaknesses clearly. Once hit, he would quickly accumulate a series of stacked debuffs. Rex slashed continuously at Lin Jai, but he dodged them all. Your maneuvering is truly not bad, even with a cumbersome sword your speed still keeps up. Rex also understood the situation very well. He said, however, melee is my advantage. Once hit by an assassin's attack, even a little bit is enough to make you dizzy with constantly accumulating debuffs. With a gloomy face, he said in a deadly tone, struggling is futile. Soon you will kneel and beg me for a painless death. But Lin Jai wasn't panicked at all. He suddenly spotted an opening, and immediately took the opportunity to knock Rex's sword away, creating some distance. Rex was pushed back a few steps. He was surprised. Even when attributes are reduced by half, its destructive power is still terrifying. The warrior's initial strength advantage truly couldn't be underestimated. But very quickly he reassured himself, it's fine, if we fall into a protracted battle you're bound to die. Lin Jai's eyes lit up and he scolded, who wants to fight you for a long time, you idiot? He used his agile footwork to fly toward Rex, go face the resurrection stone and repent alone. Rex opened his eyes wide, still unable to react to Lin Jai's power. He only found himself standing naked, surrounded by resurrection stones. Rex was still dazed, failing to react. Did I really respawn at the resurrection stone? The system notified. You have been killed by the warrior Lin Jai. You are penalized with a level reduction. Your level has dropped from level 3 to level 2 and all attributes are reduced. Hearing familiar laughter behind him, Rex panicked and realized what happened. He angrily cursed, what do you mean, laughing at me? Achi reminded, boss, your clothes and equipment have all been taken away. The system displayed a notification, new era's looting design. When a player dies, they drop all items collected within the last 24 hours. Achi yelled, it definitely hasn't been 24 hours yet. Mikey was even more surprised. What? Hearing that, Rex cursed loudly. Damn it, Lin Jai dares to humiliate me in front of everyone. Just wait, you and I aren't done, we're not done. Lin Jai on this side said, that one sword strike was just to send Rex's body back. How come the clothes were all left behind? Hack just woke up, rubbing his head. It hurts so much. Luckily, I was afraid of pain, so I maximized my defense stats, otherwise I would have been blown back to town in one hit. Where did everyone go? Then he saw Lin Jai standing there alone. Hack's whole body shook. He clutched his blade and trembled while threatening Lin Jai, don't come over here, I'll stab you to death. But Lin Jai only spoke politely to him, please bring Rex's clothes back to him. Lin Jai stood behind him and continued, also, pass on a message to him, if I run into you guys again next time, I will keep killing you until your levels reach 0. Hack trembled all over and he turned around in a hurry, understood. But his eyes widened and he shook even more than before, appearing extremely terrified. Then his face contorted, his mouth appearing as if he were holding something. Hack hurriedly clutched his mouth with both hands, looking like he was about to vomit. Indeed, he knelt to the ground and coughed up blood. Hack coughed continuously and he turned around in a panic. What on earth is this terrifying power? It can no longer be measured by data. The suppression power feels like death itself. Looking at Lin Jai, who seemed to be covered in burning flames, Hack marveled to himself. It's like a war god returning from hell. The system praised, bravely fought against malicious players and earned a large amount of reputation. Reputation in Meltown plus 300. Your reputation in Meltown has reached level 600 plus. You have achieved legendary status in Meltown and NPCs will voluntarily follow you. Inside the town, a statue will be erected in your honor. You receive exclusive privileges from the storyline. Lin Jai frowned and thought, although being betrayed by teammates is unfortunate, gaining reputation through it isn't bad. Time to head back to town to get some rest. Eventually, Lin Jai returned to the town, and the subordinates knelt in unison to welcome his return. He was very surprised by this sight and didn't understand what was happening. Everyone shouted in unison, please accept the supreme ritual of Mel Town, Dawnblade Sama, the one who created miracles. The system also sent congratulations on obtaining the title Dawnblade. The group standing outside wondered, what's going on? Why are the NPCs suddenly paying homage to a player? What is Dawnblade? Is it a special title? The blue-haired player asked, could it be a feature that can only be unlocked with platinum VIP privileges? How much money did it cost? The person next to him refuted, no way, how could a bottom-tier warrior, someone even dogs wouldn't bother with, afford to buy a platinum VIP membership card? Lin Jai also asked himself softly. Dawnblade, he had heard of this title in a dungeon in his past life. He recalled the time 3 years ago when the world was once plunged into a long, eternal night. In a place where monsters ran rampant, the dim flame of civilization was at risk of being extinguished. At this moment, a legendary warrior stepped forward holding a weapon that looked simple. Yet it was able to ignite the first ray of dawn in the darkness. That greatsword became a symbol of tearing through the night. Afterward, Lin Jai looked at the ally information in the system and said, launch the decisive battle in the darkest hour before dawn, finally bringing light to the world. The result was the silhouette of an unknown warrior standing on a cliff, surrounded by morning light shimmering like gold, holding high a longsword glowing under the dawn. Then, Dawnblade grants it to the brave ones who dare to stand up against evil. Lin Jai figured this was one of the 8 legacy titles promoted the most before the launch. Each story represented an epic hero from the history of the New Era world. He speculated, the government once hinted that the background of these titles wasn't simple. Highly likely it could be a secret achievement or an extremely large honorary reward. But I have never heard of anyone attaining it. Then Lin Jai curled his lips in satisfaction. Dawnblade, one of the 8 legacy titles, who would have thought a newcomer like me would obtain it in Mel Town. Lin Jai thought joyfully, what an unexpected harvest. The NPCs shouted, welcome back, Dawnblade Sama. In a large house, a voice resonated. Dawnblade Sama, your righteous actions have deeply moved and filled the entire village with gratitude. A soldier knelt in front of Lin Jai and said, Mayor Oliver Green wishes to personally hold a banquet to welcome you. The system notified, side quest Hero of Meltown has opened, please go to the assembly hall of Meltown. The soldier bowed earnestly, please allow me to personally lead you there. Lin Jai smiled and said, no need, I will go there myself, you all stay in your positions. He secretly understood that excessive showing off would definitely attract malicious players. It was better to stay humble. Lin Jai guessed correctly. In the shadows, a dissatisfied voice echoed. Rex said maliciously, Lin Jai, wait until you get to some alleyway, I will stab you in the back. Mikey stood behind and advised, boss, maybe we shouldn't confront him anymore. Anyway, the NPCs of this whole town are respectful toward him. We should probably leave. Rex trembled with anger and gritted his teeth. What do you know? Infamy is also fame. As long as we can kill him, there will surely be other evil players who value us. Hack asked in surprise, Boss, have you thought of a way to make him surrender? Rex spoke in a calculated tone. If we were outside, my words wouldn't carry weight. But this is Meltown. I, the villain, have more say than anyone else. An NPC saw Rex holding a weapon and angrily reminded, the Meltown festival is coming. Gathering and carrying weapons are prohibited. Rex smiled awkwardly and said, we were just negotiating a business deal. Why do you NPCs manage so much? Do you even let people play? The soldier warned, we pay special attention to players with ill intentions. You have a criminal record, be well behaved while in town. Rex gritted his teeth and said, even Meltown has its dark side. His voice still echoed with dissatisfaction, just you wait. Ignoring Rex's group, Lin Jai arrived. This was the mayor's office of the Meltown region, Green's office. As soon as Lin Jai opened the door, a voice rang out from inside, Dawnblade-sama. Mayor Green said to Lin Jai joyfully, you finally arrived. He happily grasped Lin Jai's hand and said, thanks to you, the thing hanging over our heads for so many years, Griffin the singer like a nightmare, has been completely swept away. Mayor Green continued with flattering words, your good deed not only saved the town but also saved countless lives that would have otherwise been sacrificed for this. This is a feat enough to be recorded in history books. Lin Jai felt a bit shy. In his memories of the past life, Mayor Green was a stern NPC who rarely spoke or smiled. Perhaps because he had spent many years wearily dealing with the horror demon attacks, his spirit was exhausted. But in this life, his complexion was much better and his personality had changed. He said modestly, this is what I should have done. Mayor Green glanced outside, his voice full of excitement. To honor your bravery and kindness, I, on behalf of all the townspeople, respectfully suggest. Then he continued, we will build a hero statue for you in the central square. I suggest using gold to craft it so that everyone who comes to Meltown can know of your legend. Mayor Green didn't see Lin Jai's helpless expression and continued to speak proudly. He waited for him to finish and humbly declined. I accept your kindness, but for me, it's nothing but empty fame. The players' lives won't be changed just because a statue suddenly appears in town. Lin Jai looked at Mayor Green and continued, I have a suggestion, what do you think? He wasn't angry for being refused and happily said, Dawnblade-sama, gold, titles, anything you consider worthy of your great contributions is possible. Lin Jai looked down at the people standing below and said, the threat from Griffin has been eliminated. The money and military supplies that Meltown had prepared to deal with him should have been used for more practical things that could bring benefits to everyone. Lin Jai continued, I think using this money for two things would be better. First, provide long-term tax reductions for adventurers at trading points in the town, thereby reducing development costs for newbies and turning Meltown into a friendly, vibrant starting point for adventurers. Mayor Green broke a sweat listening to Lin Jai's request. He added, second, strengthen security and patrols in towns and cities to ensure threats don't recur so that residents and visitors can live safely. In his heart, he secretly assessed, I have met countless adventurers pursuing fame and strength, yet I have never met anyone who cared about players like this. Mayor Green adjusted his glasses and said calmly, Sir, your kindness and vision make me feel both respectful and ashamed. Then let's do as you say, I will issue the order immediately. A large system table appeared and all players saw the town-wide notification. All transactions in Meltown will be permanently taxed at a 50% discount starting today to welcome and support the journeys of all new adventurers. Following the notification were countless shouts of surprise. Damn, half off, is that real or fake? Who is it? What kind of good deed did that master do? Surely it cost a lot of money, no need to worry about not being able to afford potions anymore. Thanks, master. Long live Meltown. Mayor Green looked at the results, trembling with joy. He said with gratitude, Sir, you have brought true dawn to the town, your character makes me admire you. Then he took out a key and said to Lin Jai, but as a way to express my personal gratitude, please accept this gift. Mayor Green explained, this is a two-story building that has been abandoned for a long time on the outskirts of the town. Although simple, it is located in a quiet position with a view of windmills and fields. This bronze key and land use certificate now belong to you forever. please accept them. On behalf of the mayor, I respectfully invite you to settle in Mel Town, a true home. Immediately, the system notified, "Congratulations, you have become the first player to receive personal real estate in New Era." The system displayed, "Contents, a place overlooking the windmills. Your legendary status in this town has been carved into history." Lin Jai's eyes widened when he saw this notification. He was extremely surprised. Property ownership in New Era. He understood clearly, previously this was an unattainable privilege. It was controlled by an intelligent brain that could evolve freely. The realism of the game reached nearly the level of a second world. Land scarcity was its core rule. The nature of this world wasn't like other games. The rich only needed to splash cash to buy out a commercial street, even spending money to buy the game so NPCs would serve them. The truth is, in the vast world of New Era, every inch of land has its own owner or is owned by a system city lord. Additionally, there are primitive tribes or lairs occupied by extremely powerful monsters. The operating mechanism is that what players can possess is only the temporary right to use an area, renting a stall or a workshop. Even when a guild spends a huge amount of resources and reputation to apply for a limited territory, they can lose control at any time due to failed defense or being reclaimed by the system. Lin Jai looked at the key in front of him and thought, owning a private space that belongs entirely to me. This is truly a huge advantage unimaginable in the early game stages. Whether it's for storing items, researching skills, or the ability to expand functions in the future, both have very important significance. He decided to accept the key and said, "Thank you, Mayor Green, I really like this gift." Mayor Green said joyfully, "Your willingness to lower yourself to live here is even more moving and stirring than a golden statue in the central square." The system notified, "Unlock teleportation function within Mel Town. Simultaneously unlock one-button weapon and equipment repair feature within the town range. Unlock remote auction function. Because of your noble character and selfless contributions, all spending here will enjoy an additional 15% discount forever." Following that was a blessing. "May the light of dawn forever shine upon and protect you." After the negotiation, Lin Jai greeted Mayor Green and stepped into the crowd. He walked while thinking, "The mayor just lowered taxes, now I'll go to the market to buy some supplies." As he brushed past someone in a red cloak, the system suddenly warned, "Target used pickpocket skill, agility check successful." Lin Jai glanced at the red warning. His money bag had lost 100 copper coins. The person holding Lin Jai's money bag gloated, "Got it." Lin Jai hurriedly grabbed the person's shoulder and shouted, "Give it back." But the person vanished. All Lin Jai grabbed was a red cloak. He was extremely angry and cursed. "Damn, robbery in broad daylight. This Mel town really needs to increase investment in security." Lin Jai determined not to let the thief escape, using all his speed to chase. Stop. In a dead-end alley, a long-haired girl panted, followed by the silhouette of Lin Jai. He looked at the back of the person and said, "Don't run anymore, there's no way out ahead." Zia Lion turned around and sneered, "That line should be for me to say." The system introduced, Zia Lion of Dark Cliff Level 6 Rogue Elite. Lin Jai recalled the four familiar figures constantly echoing around. Rogue Elite Level 5. He cracked his knuckles and said, "Almost forgot Mel Town has a dark side that others don't know about." The owner of Dark Cliff, Zia Lion. She heard that and curled her lips. This kid's intelligence is not bad. Is he an internal test player? Lin Jai remembered that in his past life he was not only robbed by the NPCs of Dark Cliff, but this trick was also too familiar. Zia Lion sat on a wooden crate explaining simply, "Someone paid for your life, you have to die." Lin Jai analyzed, "So far I've only offended two people, Holy Knight Bale and the assassin of the villain group Rex." He asked Zia Lion in reverse, "Who wants me dead?" She didn't answer, only looked at Lin Jai with disdain. "Dawnblade Sama, do you still want me to speak plainly?" Lin Jai smiled softly. "That's true, that guy doesn't dare to face me directly, he only dares to find an assassin for revenge." Zia Lion smoothed her hair and said, "I am just an NPC taking money to do the job." The grudges between players don't concern me. She licked the corner of her lips, her deadly gaze fixed on Lin Jai, and ordered, "Kill him." The people holding weapons behind her immediately rushed up to attack Lin Jai. They were extremely aggressive, rushing in without regard for their lives, their target being him. In the dead-end alley, a chaotic brawl broke out. Dust and sand were flying, making it impossible to tell who was who. When the dust settled, Lin Jai stood there holding his sword. Around him were fragments of bodies fading into light. Zia Lion sat there unexpectedly, clapping in praise. "Little brother is amazing." Lin Jai glanced at her and asked unceremoniously, "Is there more?" Zia Lion jumped down and said, "All right, this is truly a losing business. Not doing it well, it's not even enough for medical bills for this bunch of useless people." She waved her hand, "You guys go, even if everyone rushes up, they're not a match for Dawnblade Sama." The NPC subordinates immediately fled. "Yes, big sister." Zia Lion clutched her head helplessly. NPCs doing business have to calculate costs. She hoisted her weapon onto her shoulder, brushed past Lin Jai and said, "I will answer Rex like this." Zia Lion of Dark Cliff did her best, but the opponent is too tough. I can only give up halfway. Hearing her say that, Lin Jai was fuming with anger. Zia Lion continued to provoke, "Goodbye, little brother Dawnblade. Next time you come to Dark Cliff for a drink, just say my name." He looked at the back of the woman in front, angrily saying, "Wait." Zia Lion heard Lin Jai call out and turned her head to ask, "Are you still not satisfied even after I let you go?" Lin Jai raised his hand, demanding his items back. "Return my money bag." She was unreasonable, holding his money bag and saying, "I intended to be merciful and give you a way to live. Now you dare to haggle with me." Zia Lion's gaze was cold as she replied, "This is the reward for sparing your life." Idiot, listening to that unreasonable talk, he was extremely furious. "I earn my money based on my ability. You guys also have to rely on your own strength to take things away." Hearing this, Zia Lion was also unceremonious. "Very good, then your rewards and the money on you will all belong to me." The two rushed toward each other. Looking at the momentum, neither seemed to lose to the other, but in terms of strength, could Zia Lion defeat Lin Jai? Zia Lion's weapon sliced through the sword in Lin Jai's hand. She brazenly provoked him, "That's destruction of weapon." Lin Jai felt suspicious. "That's not right. In my previous life, my memory of Dark Cliff was that he was just a regular black market NPC." Zia Lion said, "Considering that handsome face of yours, do you need me to lend you some money so you can go to the blacksmiths and buy a new one?" Lin Jai didn't answer, still wondering in his mind, why has it suddenly become so dramatic? Lin Jai's face was shrouded in shadow as he slowly said, "Even if I'm empty-handed." He clenched his fists and continued, "I won't let you get away with this." Zia Lion closed one eye, smirked and drawled, taunting, "That's such an old trick." She plunged her sword into the ground. "But since Big Sister is in a good mood today, I might play a few rounds with you." Zia Lion shouted the order, "Brothers, let him enjoy the welcome ceremony of our Dark Cliff." The underlings cheered enthusiastically. "Big Sister wins, Big Sister wins." They cheered with high spirits. "Go, Big Sister wins." Lin Jai stood before the circle of cheers. Zia Lion didn't wait any longer and lunged like a speeding arrow, attacking him with her claws. Lin Jai immediately dodged to the side, adding a taunt, "Too slow." He glanced sideways at the two strands of hair that had been sliced off by her claws. Zia Lion leaped high into the air and shouted, "Little brother, how about this move?" She delivered a kick from midair aimed straight at Lin Jai's head. Breaking into a sweat, he gritted his teeth and thought to himself, "This guy." Lin Jai instantly used his bare hands to block Zia Lion's attack. She landed lightly. After a few exchanges, Zia Lion inwardly praised, "Truly very strong." Lin Jai's gaze was icy. He clenched his fists and lunged rapidly toward her. Zia Lion also countered quickly. Both flew into the air, throwing punches at each other. "How's this punch?" After landing, she launched a kick toward Lin Jai. He jumped to dodge the strikes. Zia Lion couldn't help but feel regret. Almost hit him. The kid's reflexes aren't bad. Zia Lion continued with another punch toward him. "What about this?" Lin Jai immediately gripped her wrist tightly with a ferocious gaze. Seeing this, Zia Lion broke into a sweat, her eyes widening in shock. She quickly pulled her gripped arm back in a flash. He threw a powerful punch at Zia Lion, but she leaned back to evade it. The wall behind her cracked significantly from the impact of Lin Jai's fist. Zia Lion smirked, "Interesting. Without using a blade, I really can't take you down in a flash." He clenched his fists, frowning as he asked, If this continues, do you think it'll be okay? The losses you'll suffer later will be even greater than what you've earned. She heard this and widened her eyes, stunned for a moment, before bursting into loud laughter. Damn, this guy is interesting. She summoned a coin purse, laughing as she said, forget it, I've lost interest. Zia Lion tossed the purse toward Lin Jai. Fighting to the death over this purse is just wasting my business time. Right after that, she turned her back and left. Brothers, let's go, see you later. Lin Jai watched Zia Lion's retreating figure, muttering in confusion, what a strange woman. He opened the purse, inwardly suspicious. Is it an illusion? Why does it feel heavier than before? He unexpectedly touched something else that wasn't a coin. Lin Jai looked blankly at the eye resting in his palm. What is this, damn? The system notification screen appeared. That item came from Zia Lion of Dark Cliff. A message from her was displayed. A meeting gift for you, no need to be polite, hope for happy cooperation in the future, Lord Dawnblade. He stared hard at the object in confusion. What the hell kind of cooperation meeting gift is this? Lin Jai applied force to his fingers, and the eye developed several cracks. Suddenly, a violent vibration appeared on his left eye. He clutched his left eye and knelt to the ground. It hurts. The system suddenly announced. Received inherited divine relic true sight eye. An eyeball of unknown origin seemingly tied closely to some ancient mystery and conspiracy. This item was gifted to you by Zia Lion, the master of Dark Cliff, in a special way. After use, it will grant you the ability to see through illusions and perceive the truth. He gasped for air, talking to himself. Happy cooperation, unexpected gains, never heard of this prop. Lin Jai smiled with interest. It seems the Mel town of this life is much more interesting than what I remember. The scene shifts to the next morning. In a crowded market, he walked while looking around, thinking to himself, I wonder if I can find any good items. Lin Jai caught a peddler's cry, black stone, a copper coin for a pile, take your pick, take your pick. He stared intently at the items, standing before two crates of black stones, lost in thought. Black stone was the most common base mineral in Era. Players dug blindly to farm valuable magic crystals, not caring how many mine shafts they collapsed in the process. Thinking this, he turned to leave. These things were piled up like mountains in player inventories, buying them just took up space. They were basically trash, no one would take them even if given away. Suddenly the system displayed a notification, True Sight Eye activated. Lin Jai's eyes flashed with light. It actually activated on its own. His gaze locked onto a stone among the pile. Wait, that thing. Lin Jai stared at that particular stone, thinking it didn't look like the others. As soon as he picked the stone up, the system notified, True Sight Eye appraisal successful, detected star glow stone. Lin Jai excitedly cursed inwardly. Damn, is True Sight Eye that powerful? I can find treasures just by taking a stroll. Lin Jai fished out a coin and flicked it to the seller, thinking, anyway, I'll take it first. I can study it later. He pointed his finger at the stone and asked, is this for sale? The uncle immediately replied, for sale, of course it's for sale. He happily handed over the stone with both hands, complimenting, you definitely have a keen eye, big brother. But inwardly he scoffed, sure enough, another idiot. He laughed, thinking, I managed to sell this useless stone for a copper coin, what luck today. Lin Jai smiled and clenched his fist. The stone in his palm shattered into fragments. He opened his palm, inwardly praising, flawless star glow stone. The black stone layer on its surface is a perfect disguise. It's impossible to detect with standard appraisal techniques. Lin Jai admired the star glow stone in the light. No wonder it was hidden among the rubble. If I sold this gemstone directly to an NPC, it would be worth over 100 copper coins. He looked at the star glow stone, lost in thought. But as far as I know, the star glow stone has a special function. The powder obtained from decomposing the star glow stone can be used as a special material in alchemy. To maximize the value of this stone, perhaps I should try alchemy. In the world of Era, players have the freedom to choose their profession. Many even choose life professions as their main focus, typically tailors, blacksmiths, and jewelers. These professions have low entry barriers. As an extension of real life, they are a great way to relax after battles. Thus, most players dabble in them a bit. However, there is one life profession that is the exception. Not only is it hard to learn and expensive, but the work process is also inherently dangerous. Explosions during failed alchemy can kill a player instantly. This is the alchemist and its curse. Lin Jai opened the system screen. inwardly reviewing the current value of alchemy items. On the screen, a medium healing potion costs 10 copper coins, and there is a limit of 1 bottle per day. He calculated inwardly, if based on the refining methods published by the government, the cost of these materials would be higher than the 1 copper coin selling price. Lin Jai looked at the price list sarcastically. No matter how you look at it, it's a loss. He thought to himself, not to mention that alchemists suffer a failure rate of up to 60%. This makes the actual cost nearly double the official selling price. Lin Jai looked at the man shivering from the cold as he sat on the ground selling medicine. This is why most players cannot get rich through alchemy, and in reality, the more you invest, the more money you lose. He suddenly wore a crafty smile. But I have lived in the era world for 5 years and know a few secret medicine-making methods. Lin Jai walked over to a grocery stall. The problem is that even knowing the method, he cannot make it because the most important ingredient is the star glow stone powder. He traded with the seller while thinking, but the item obtained from meeting Zia Lion gives me a chance to make a big haul. From afar, 2 strangers were secretly following Lin Jai. Jayappa pointed forward and said, "Look at what he's buying again." Ata pouted indifferently, "Forget it, let's just blindly buy whatever he does. If he can make money, so can we." He held up a stone and smiled brightly. Anyway, he has that Dawnblade title, he must be very familiar with business in the system. I saw him buy a black stone at the shop last time, so I tried buying one too. Z blankly said, that shop owner tricked me into buying a whole pile. On the other side, the black stone shop owner looked at the stone in his hand, blankly asking himself, wait, did I sell this black stone too cheaply? He sat on the chair and scrolled through the system screen, buying enough medium glass bottles and cheap materials like green grass leaves. To refine 100 bottles of healing potion, that should be enough. The screen then displayed, successfully crafted star glow stone powder. Oda curiously asked, what, did he crush something? Jayappa turned to look at him and scolded, fool, it must be the black stone he bought earlier. Surely he wants to make some high-end item. This black stone is the key ingredient. He grinned and said, let's follow his lead. Oda smirked in agreement, right. Both simultaneously crushed the black stone. Both their systems notified that they had received black stone powder. Lin Jai carefully added the herb essence into the bottle. Initially, the essence from herb leaves can only be processed into a basic herbal juice with weak effects. After that, he continued to add the star glow stone powder. However, when catalyzed by the star glow stone powder, the potency of the herbal juice was activated many times over. Lin Jai stood up and walked toward the fountain ahead. ZBA blankly asked, it looks like he's heading to the fountain. Is he about to perform some high-end ritual? Oda replied. Right, making high-end goods surely requires high-end rituals. A luxurious place like a fountain might be the perfect location for such rituals. He followed the boy's actions, stuttering, wait. He raised the bottle to collect water from the fountain. Both people saw that and stood frozen. After collecting enough water, the liquid in the bottle blended into a fresh green color. The system notified, successfully obtained medium healing potion. Lin Jai said contentedly, good, the effect is exactly the same as the product sold in the store. Both people watching his actions had one thought, Dawnblade is making fake medicine. The system notified continuously about the successful crafting of the healing potion. Before long, Lin Jai had successfully crafted 100 healing potions and had reached proficiency in the field of alchemy. Lin Jai wiped his sweat, smiling contentedly. It seems the knowledge I had before can be converted into assets. Seeing the healing potions left on the ground, the crowd pulled over to ask, where did you get these potions? How much are they? Can you sell them to me? I have already used up my purchase quota for today. Can I buy a large quantity from you? An hour later, he happily announced, all gone, sold out. Those who arrived late couldn't help but feel sad. Lin Jai smiled, summoning his coin purse. As long as it was cheaper than in the store by 1 copper coin, they could be sold out in a flash, and even a few bottles were sold for higher prices. He happily looked at the purse full of coins, roughly calculating. The capital was 100 copper coins. In just 1 hour it could turn into 1,000 copper coins. Lin Jai said contentedly, the reward from Griffin has now increased tenfold. Today was a big haul. Ata stood from afar and said, we calculated wrong. Jayappa crossed his arms and smirked cunningly. Dawnblade sells authentic medicine at a fair price. His formula must have been obtained from secret intel during the testing phase. If it were published, it would be a huge bomb for the entire business system in Era. Jayappa clenched his fists excitedly. The two of us must make a big haul before the official team patches this loophole. He immediately started refining medicine, adding black stone powder and grass leaves into the bottle, then shaking it and adding a little water. Damn, alchemy is really as easy as eating candy. Suddenly, the system displayed, successfully crafted a bottle of poison. Oda was terrified. What? ZBA blankly said. Did I get the formula wrong? I saw every step clearly. He held up the bottle, stuttering. No, it's not wrong. This is the healing potion, it's just the color that's off. Ata pointed his finger at the bottle and asked, then do you dare to drink it? Right after that, an explosion rang out. The system notified, player Zap has committed suicide. The crowd around stood staring blankly. What's wrong? What happened? Damn, someone blew themselves up, another crazy person. Lin Jai sighed inwardly, feeling tired. Not understanding the formula but trying to refine it anyway will trigger the alchemy curse. Can only wish them luck next time. He smiled and tossed a coin, inwardly calculating. Next, I need to log out to process this newly earned money. Lin Jai held the purse in his hand and smiled. The conversion was done, and he logged out back to the real world in an old house. He took off the headset and breathed a sigh of relief. Based on the rate of 1 copper coin equals 110,000 yuan, I converted 50 copper coins on the trading site before logging out. The phone suddenly vibrated. Notification, the converted amount of 5 million has been added to your account. Lin Jai wore a satisfied smile. That was fast. Suddenly, a loud noise rang out from outside, forcing him to look back. 3 debt collectors burst into the house. Hey, it's time to pay this month's debt, old woman. The mother blankly explained. No, isn't it due at the end of the month? It's only the beginning of the month. The ringleader angrily cursed. Damn it, we were supposed to wait until the end of the month, but I lost 1 million playing Era. Damn. He spoke aggressively. Now if I can't get money from you and your daughter, I'm going to be in a very bad mood. She fearfully stuttered, please. Sorry, we don't have money right now. Can you postpone it for a few more days? He narrowed his eyes and repeated, no money. Right after that, an underling reached for Tixie and pulled her toward them. She jumped toward her worriedly calling, Tixie, but she was stopped by the leader gripping her wrist tightly. He put his hand on her shoulder and spoke in a cunning tone. Your daughter is at a beautiful age, isn't she? If it's the first time, it could sell for a good price. The leader suddenly looked up and asked, and where is your precious son? Isn't he still hiding in the house playing games? What a loser. The 3 of them laughed loudly. Better get out and do some manual labor, at least your body parts might fetch some money, right? Lin Jai's voice rang out from behind. 1 million, right? He had just finished operating his phone, holding it up and asking, is this enough? Those guys burst into loud mockery. This guy is still playing dumb here, pretending to be rich. Suddenly, the phone in his pocket rang. Notification, you have received 1 million yuan. The leader blankly pulled out his phone to check. Is it fake? The underling asked in surprise. Boss, maybe you should check your phone again. He looked at them coldly and repeated, is it enough? Tixie screamed in shock. Brother, did you rob a bank? Lin Jai's mother asked in surprise. Son, where did you get the money? The 2 underlings looked in horror at the number on the phone. 1 million. 1 million. The leader looked at the amount and cursed. 1 million, damn it. The underling's eyes sparkled. It's really 1 million. The leader grabbed his collar and asked, you're just a loser who only knows how to play games. How could you have 1 million? Are you kidding me? Lin Jai waved to his mother. Mom, go into your room. The leader shouted in resentment. By what right? You could make 1 million, I want an explanation. He smirked mockingly. That's right, I am just a useless gamer. Naturally, I can only make money from playing games. He gritted his teeth in anger. Are you kidding me? I had to lose 1 million playing the game and you actually made 1 million. The leader pointed his knife at the money on the phone and said, this 1 million doesn't count as debt repayment. Consider this as compensation for my losses. Lin Jai's face darkened as he asked in a cold voice, oh, want to turn your back on your word? He immediately reached out and gripped the leader's wrist tightly, causing the knife to fall to the ground. The leader broke into a sweat, opening his eyes wide in horror. What the hell, that was fast. Lin Jai cast a cold glance at him. Unfortunately, I don't just excel at gaming. With just a few moves, he subdued the leader. The man shrieked in agony, ow, are you really that trash gamer, Lin Jai? Lin Jai curled his lips in contempt. That's right, the one and only. The two lackeys shouted angrily, "You've got guts, if you want to die let the boss go." The leader panicked and yelled, "Wait, don't do anything rash." Trembling violently, he tried to negotiate. "Brother, let's talk this out. My arm is going to break, take it easy." Lin Jai glared fiercely, "Who's your brother?" The leader broke into a sweat as he looked at Lin Jai. This guy's aura was terrifying, like a demon returned from hell. He shouted menacingly, "What now, still want to cause trouble?" He immediately denied it frantically. No, it's all a misunderstanding. I'm just trying to make a living, we don't need to take it this far. If you've paid off the debt, we have no reason to mess with you. Let me go." He turned to ask his two lackeys, "Don't you agree?" Both stammered in response. Yeah, that's right, boss." Lin Jai ordered in a cold voice, "Get out of my house immediately." The three of them scrambled out of the house in fear. "All right, we're leaving, let's go quickly." The mother and her two children watched silently as the group scurried away. Tixie heroically grabbed his arm and warned, "You guys were so rude, you know that? If I ever see you again, I'll tell my brother to take care of you." The three guys pressed their hands together, weeping. "We won't do it again, we won't." She suddenly spoke up, "Brother, aren't you going to explain?" Lin Jai blankly repeated, "Explain what?" She pouted and pleaded, "Tell me, how did a hidden tycoon suddenly appear in our house?" Lin Jai was covered in sweat, secretly panicking. "This is bad. How do I explain this so the family doesn't worry?" Seeing that he remained silent, Tixie asked irritably, "Hurry up and explain, how did a hidden tycoon appear in our home?" Looking at his vibrant sister, Lin Jai felt extremely lucky. Rebirth is truly a blessing. My sister is still alive and well. He gradually sank into his memories of the past life. In the previous life, because his father had passed away, his sister was critically ill and the family was drowning in debt. He couldn't shoulder the family's burdens. With a stack of job applications in hand, Lin Jai had gone to interview at one company after another. But the results were not as hoped and rejection responses followed one after another. "Go back and wait for the news. If there's a suitable opportunity, we'll contact you." Those failures had left him incredibly crushed. Back then, the job market was extremely difficult. An average person like him seemed to have no chance of finding a job. Meanwhile, he suddenly saw an employee handing out flyers, "Play New Era." The employee held the flyer out to him. "An endless, mysterious world with countless treasures awaits every player to explore." One sentence from the employee reached Lin Jai's ears, making him feel as if he had found a lifeline. "You can make a lot of money playing this game." And that was the start of everything. He thought to himself, the reason for becoming a player back then is shameful to admit, it was just to make money. While Lin Jai was lost in thought in a corner, a voice rang out, "Hey, check out that rookie warrior." He turned his head. It was a guild leader of some gold group extending an invitation. "We need someone who isn't afraid of death, you in." He raised his hand and offered a price to Lin Jai. "One battle, the reward is 2 copper coins." He was short on money at the time. Hearing that, he agreed immediately without hesitation. From then on, every battle was a brush with death, but as long as he survived, he could make money. After many life-or-death battles, the gold group leader exclaimed, "You're really tough." He glanced at him. "You survive every single time. I'd almost think you were using some sort of cheat." Lin Jai sat on the ground, his body covered in wounds. Hearing that, he could only remain speechless. Then the gold group leader tossed him his payment, giving him an extra copper coin out of respect for his hard work. Afterward, he held his head high and turned to walk away. "Let's keep working together in the future." Lin Jai stood silently, watching the gold group leader depart, his hand gripping the few remaining coins. A while later, thanks to his frequent life-or-death combat experience, his fighting skills became increasingly adept. In subsequent battles, even if his entire team was wiped out, he would survive to the end, sometimes even soloing the boss. And as his skills became more refined, he developed a new goal: to become the strongest player. Pure skill was enough to achieve it. He stood upon the arduous challenges, the life-or-death struggles, and the very path to becoming the strongest. More importantly, along that path, he could make money and protect the most important people in his life. Lin Jai determined, "I will definitely be the strongest." Later, he met brothers to fight alongside, sharing the same goals. Bai Li and Lin Jai became teammates. From then on, we made a pact to rely on our own strength to become the strongest class. Later, the two made a pact during a battle. One shouted, "Let's have another showdown, come on, let's see who's stronger." The other replied, "Fine." The onlookers whispered, Hey, that guy is Lin Jai, nicknamed the Immortal War God. Only the most dangerous group battles manage to recruit him. I've seen his maneuvers. No normal person could do that. He's simply a monster. It's hard to imagine that a warrior from the lowest class could make it into the top 10 power rankings. That list is full of top-tier figures. From the battles won, his recruitment fees skyrocketed, and his family's financial crisis gradually improved. And then one day, the high-stakes matchmaker spoke up. You must throw this match. Lin Jai was extremely angry hearing this, slamming his hand on the table and shouting, "Why can't I win?" He felt deeply puzzled. I clearly have the strength to compete for the top spot. I also dream of becoming the strongest, standing at the pinnacle of new era. Lin Jai said confusedly. Besides, just by winning this final match, I could receive 100 million in prize money, enough to pay for my sister's medical treatment immediately. He stared straight at the high-stakes matchmaker and asked loudly, "By what right should I throw the match?" He began to explain, "The peak battle of New Era is actually a game manipulated by money. A commoner like you can't get in the way of the new star created by capital, therefore you are forced to lose. Besides, your opponent is your good brother Bai Li. Lose to him, consider it a favor to him." Lin Jai spun around and replied with confidence, "Bai Li wouldn't betray our pact. He knows why I became a player, so I must give it my all." He was extremely determined. I must become the strongest, gamble everything, and take down Bai Li. In his heart, Lin Jai knew clearly that as a commoner he was dreaming of using his strength to change his fate. He knew that continuing on this path was the right choice. The high-stakes matchmaker shouted behind him, "Even if you don't throw the match, capital will find a way to make you lose." He tried to persuade him, instead of falling from the peak, why not take this opportunity to retreat? But Lin Jai knew he couldn't turn back. Bai Li was born with privilege. No matter how many times he fell, he would have a chance to start over. But a commoner like him, falling even once, would never be able to stand up again. He didn't have a second chance. Suddenly Lin Jai's phone rang. He picked up. "Hello, what is it, Mom?" Information hit him like a bolt from the blue. "Little Tixie. The hospital said the equipment malfunctioned for no reason. Her condition is worsening. I have no other choice." The phone fell from his hand, but the voice still echoed throughout the space. "Just lose, Ajay, someone in black at the hospital told me." At that moment, Lin Jai felt as if he had lost all strength. He collapsed and sobbed into his hands. His sister returned to reality. That memory made him tear up instinctively. Tixie asked confusedly, "Brother, are you crying?" Seeing her worry, he hurriedly wiped his tears and smiled brightly to comfort her. "Why would I be crying? Silly girl, I'm clearly laughing because I'm so happy." Tixie felt her brother's abnormality. "You're acting strange today. You just cried and now you're laughing. Can you really make 1 million playing games?" Lin Jai began to make up a story. "Yeah, because I opened a mysterious sunstone, an item sold for a sky-high price. We can live well now." She heard that and was extremely excited. "Oh, there's such a good thing. Bring the headset here so I can play too." Lin Jai hadn't expected things to turn out this way and yelled in worry, "Minors are forbidden from playing. In this game, everyone has different reasons for becoming a player. Among the goals to overcome life-or-death battles, some do it for honor, others for dreams. Those battles aren't easy at all, and some just want to escape reality." Standing in the midst of battle, Lin Jai thought to himself, "As for me, the reason is simple: to become the strongest." People often define those from the lowest social class as extremely resilient, born to trade their lives for money like monsters, always able to survive the most difficult and dangerous situations. As one of those from the lower class, Lin Jai understood clearly what they didn't know behind those miracles. For those people, and for him, everyone has a reason they are forced to survive. To become the strongest, the last survivor, and to protect the most important people. That is why he became a player. Returning to reality, Lin Jai realized, in this life, to become the strongest, I need to buy a few things first. The scene shifted to another location, the official authorized store of New Era, Spacetime Frontier. Walking into the shop, Lin Jai stood pondering in front of an extremely expensive booth. Looking at those items, he recalled how in the past, it was only in the later stages that he could use his savings to buy equipment 2 tiers lower than this. But Bai Li, he realized this was the difference between the two, thinking, he must have used this high-end Thunder Supreme equipment long ago. The boss saw Lin Jai and greeted him familiarly. "Is that you, Lin Jai? What's wrong? Is that starter gear not comfortable to use?" He stared straight at the boss and replied, I want to switch to Thunder Supreme. He was extremely surprised. What did you say, Thunder Supreme? No way. He began to explain. It's good for young people to have dreams, but you can't fantasize. Even if you grind for 10 years, I'm afraid you won't even be able to touch that equipment. Suddenly, someone stepped forward and slammed a hand on the counter. Thunder Supreme, I'll pay in full. As soon as the boss saw this person, he immediately switched to fawning mode. Young Master Rex has a great eye for goods. This Thunder Supreme is the only one in stock in the whole city, prepared exactly for high-level players like you. Lin Jai saw this and sighed in his heart. Judging by this tone, it's an old acquaintance. Suddenly, Mikey and Achi stood behind, grumbling. Damn it, we were beaten by that bastard Lin Jai last time. Rex heard that and spun around. If it weren't for that trash equipment, I would have beaten him until he retreated. Suddenly, his eyes drifted over, and upon catching sight of Lin Jai standing right next to him, he froze. Damn. Regaining his senses, he shouted in terror. Lin Jai, why are you everywhere I go? He glanced over calmly. Enemies are bound to meet. What did I say last time? Still want to get served another beating. Rex was sweating buckets but still put on a brave front. HMPH, looks like that Zia Lion hasn't dealt with you in the game yet. You've got guts. He was extremely confident when he realized. But where is this? It's reality. I, the villain Rex, have more say than anyone. Mikey behind him reminded, Boss, you seem to have said this line in Mel Town. Achi followed up, that's right, it sounds so familiar. He hurriedly explained to salvage his image. That guy cheated in the game, which is why we were defeated. You can't play dirty in reality. 3 of us against 1, there's no way we can't take him. Seeing that things were getting extremely tense, the boss stood up to mediate. Don't fight in here, it's not easy running a shop. He turned to him, Lin Jai, don't get agitated, that's young Master Rex. Get on your knees and apologize. I'm afraid you'll break things in my shop and I won't be able to get compensated. Lin Jai sighed, games are games, don't bring things into real life. I originally intended to spare you guys. Rex couldn't bear the humiliation and roared, damn it, go to hell, today I have to regain the face I lost in the game. Mikey and Achi also gritted their teeth in anger. Do you know how long it took us to grind our levels? How dare you make us drop in rank? Immediately after, Rex charged at him with a knife. Enough talk, die Lin Jai. He watched Rex running toward him, his eyes flashing with sparks. In that instant, Lin Jai suddenly felt time slowing down. It turned out that the 5 years of fighting in the Shura hell of New Era had sharpened his mind, raised his reflex speed, and his muscle response had improved significantly. That adaptation and transformation also led to a result. Due to the lightning-fast reaction speed in combat, an effect similar to slowed time occurred in his eyes. And just like now in reality, it was the same. Lin Jai easily dodged Rex's attack. He saw this and stood stunned, doubting his existence. Damn, you can even cheat in reality. Not giving Rex time to react, Lin Jai threw a powerful punch toward him. The punch was so strong and fast it made Rex see stars. He screamed in pain, tears and snot streaming down his face, looking incredibly pathetic. Lin Jai looked down at Rex from above. You can't cheat in reality, brother. Then he looked toward Mikey and Achi. I've got time to spare, you two come at me too. The 2 of them were scared and ran away, abandoning their boss. Boss, we're leaving first, we'll wait for you at the usual spot. Lin Jai didn't mind, turned back to the counter and slid the card toward the shopkeeper. Boss, Thunder Supreme, pay in full. The shopkeeper saw him being so generous and was extremely confused. Do you really have that much money for real? He replied calmly, the balance on it is enough. After finalizing the transaction, the owner saw him to the door, waving with a smile. Welcome back again. While walking along the road holding the newly purchased Thunder Supreme, Lin Jai suddenly bumped into someone. It was Hawk. He saw him and suddenly showed a fearful expression. Lin Jai saw Hawk standing still and suddenly realized, is it this guy? Then he asked, why didn't you charge up like your brothers back there inside? He was so scared his body stiffened, it took a long time before he stammered out a few words. I. Hawk was so anxious he was sweating profusely. I want to. Suddenly he knelt in front of Lin Jai. I want to become stronger. He saw this and was incredibly stunned, watching Hawk kneeling on the ground and exclaimed. Hawk continued to introduce himself. I am Hawk, a Punisher Knight, please Dawnblade-sama. Saying that, he hesitated for a moment, then looked up with determination to plead. Take me as your apprentice. Lin Jai laughed coldly and turned to leave. take an apprentice, I have no intention of doing that. But having reached this point, Hawk was determined not to give up. Wait, please hear me out. Since the day I met you, I've seen you as a war god returning from hell. He clung to Lin Jai and continued, I realized something important. You are a powerful person. Hawk grabbed Lin Jai's leg, trembling as he poured his heart out. I chose the judgment of blazing fire talent because I was afraid. Afraid to charge to the front, afraid of getting hurt, afraid of real responsibility. He admitted, so I used a flashy but impractical talent to hide my own weakness. And after those battles, Hawk also realized, I am a failure. Currently, he wanted to change. I want to truly become stronger, to become a powerful existence like you, so please take me as your apprentice. Lin Jai still refused. I'm sorry, I don't have any plans to take on an apprentice, he thought to himself. This idiot doesn't know about that yet. Immediately after, Lin Jai helped Hawk up and said calmly, but maybe later. Hearing those words, his eyes lit up. Dawnblade-sama, you didn't refuse, did you? Watching Hawk shouting for joy behind him, he thought, once you realize your own weakness, you have already become strong. He turned back with a smile and said, New era is updating, preparing to launch version 1.01. Wait until then, I'll observe you and we'll see. He clenched his fist with determination. I will use time to prove that I am worthy of being Dawnblade's apprentice. Lin Jai smiled and stepped forward, the gears of fate. At this moment, things happened that were completely different from the past life. No one could predict the tiny changes. Lin Jai slowly put the gaming headset on his head, his eyes full of anticipation. As soon as he activated it, the headset immediately glowed, launching the familiar login system. In the blink of an eye, his consciousness entered the familiar, vast gaming world. Standing in front of the familiar house, Lin Jai frowned slightly. Since Mayor Green gave him this key, he had never been here. It seems that after the update, the game set his login position to his own home. Stepping inside the house, he let out a sigh and said, I'm back. At that moment, the system's voice echoed in his ears. Welcome home, Dawnblade-sama. This update has unlocked the house renovation feature. The voice continued to echo steadily throughout the quiet space. You can renovate this house as you please. And the land within a 500 m radius around the area has been designated as your inherent territory. The mechanical sound continued to ring out clearly. The higher your reputation in the new era world, the more land benefits you will receive later. After hearing the notification, Lin Jai stood stunned. Who would have thought the game would hide this feature? In his past life, he didn't have a house, so he didn't know about this. Glancing around the room, he shook his head helplessly and sighed. But this house is completely empty, you basically can't live in it. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Jai immediately started purchasing all the necessary supplies. He couldn't help but grumble, so the mayor handed me a completely empty, unfinished house just waiting for me to spend all the money I worked so hard to earn on renovations. In reality, these necessary expenses were enough to buy a luxury villa. What a businessman. After a few seconds of silent thought, Lin Jai furrowed his brows slightly and spoke. However, taking in the entire house once more, he nodded contentedly. Doesn't look too bad. Money spent isn't wasted, I can just earn it back later. Just then, a steady, unexpected knock sounded at the door from outside. Carrying a hint of vigilance, Lin Jai walked slowly toward the front door. Stopping before the door, he furrowed his brows slightly and asked in a low voice, Who is it? Standing outside with a familiar, faint smile, Zia Lion spoke softly. Greetings, Lord Dawnblade. As soon as he saw the person before him, an intense sense of vigilance surged within him. A bad omen. Leaning lightly against the door frame, she curled her lips meaningfully and said, We can be considered old friends, why aren't you welcoming me? Looking at the dangerous smile of his opponent, Lin Jai secretly became alert. Zia Lion held all the dark power in Mel Town. Getting involved with her was never a good thing. Recalling the events from his previous life, there were many players in Era who engaged in malicious PvP. Once they turned red, they couldn't move normally in most public areas. Folding his arms in silent thought, he continued to recall familiar information. A Dark Path NPC like Zia Lion would gather these players and provide them with services. Lin Jai's eyes cooled slightly when remembering Zia Lion's reputation. Naturally, it costs extra money. The players who came to find Zia Lion were never up to any good. Keeping a mysterious smile on her lips, she said slowly, I have a way for you to make money. he immediately showed suspicion and coldly replied, "First time I've heard of an NPC proactively coming to the door to offer a quest. Not interested, thanks." No sooner had he finished speaking than Zia Lion pushed the door open and walked into the house in Meltown. "Except for you, no one can do this quest." After casually sitting down on the sofa, she slowly recounted. "A lair of man-eating magical beasts has appeared in West Wind Ridge to the west of the town." Hearing this, Lin Jai furrowed his brows in surprise and asked in a low voice, "Such a thing exists?" Zia Lion's eyes cooled slightly when mentioning that matter. "That thing is very strong. Many of my subordinates have been eaten by it, so I want to find someone to handle it." Having heard the whole story, he folded his arms in thought and asked calmly, "Your people usually only operate near the town, right? Why run to such a remote place as West Wind Ridge to throw their lives away?" She immediately replied coldly, "The rule of our profession is not to ask too many questions. You just need to say whether you'll do it or not. The reward is 100 copper coins." Hearing that price, Lin Jai immediately snatched the apple from Zia Lion's hand and said, 10 silver coins. She immediately glared in annoyance and said loudly, "You dare shout such a high price at me? 10 silver coins is equivalent to 10,000 copper coins, 100 times more." While taking a bite of the apple, he calmly replied, "If it's a quest that found its way to my door, the price is naturally decided by me. 10 silver coins is my price." Hearing that, Zia Lion immediately broke into a cold laugh and folded her arms, continuing, "With this amount of money, I could hire players from the entire town to work for me, so why would I need to find you?" Lin Jai's gaze became sharper. "Coming to find me in person, there must be a reason. If you won't tell the truth, let me say it for you." Hearing that, she raised an eyebrow with interest and said, "Interesting, go ahead and say it." In his mind, he quickly made a deduction. Zia Lion's treasure vault was in West Wind Ridge, a hidden instance. After the game updated, the cave was invaded by new magical beasts. Gently turning the apple in his hand, Lin Jai looked calmly at Zia Lion and said, "You want to retrieve your money, but you can't find a suitable person to go inside." Seeing her slightly changing reaction, he continued to speak slowly. "The money you robbed and hid in there probably isn't just 10 silver coins, right? Maybe 100 gold coins or more with countless precious treasures." Hearing that, her complexion changed immediately, her eyes filled with suspicion. "How do you know? You're just a new player." Confronted with that scrutinizing gaze, Lin Jai inwardly laughed coldly. "I am a reborn person. Is there any NPC secret I don't know?" Remembering the events of the past, his gaze became complex. In his previous life, the treasure hunting craze created a stir across the entire server, and I participated too. Naturally, that happened after Meltown was destroyed in the early stages. Thinking of that dark future, Lin Jai's eyes cooled slightly. Back then, Zia Lion fell into the path of evil. She killed too many innocent players and was eventually wiped out by a crusade group. Zia Lion of Dark Cliff only ended up as a story of an NPC in the history of Era. After a few seconds of silence, he suddenly looked straight at Zia Lion and slowly said, "But now I want to talk to you about that money. If I report this to Mayor Green." The corners of Lin Jai's lips curled up dangerously as he continued to apply pressure. "Do you think Zia Lion of Dark Cliff can live until the next dungeon?" Hearing that threat, she immediately snorted coldly in disdain and replied, "That old man doesn't dare to manage my affairs." Hearing that price, Zia Lion immediately furrowed her brows in heartbreak and spoke, 10 silver coins. As someone who loves money like Zia Lion, I absolutely cannot take out such a large sum." Looking at her reaction, he suddenly burst into laughter and said calmly, "Given that you are so greedy, I can do this for free." Hearing that unexpected answer, Zia Lion immediately widened her eyes in disbelief and asked, "What, you're really not charging money?" Lin Jai's gaze became serious. "I want you to give up your status as the master of Dark Cliff." In his heart, he thought of many things. Becoming a villain is just a single thought away. Reality is like that, and so are NPCs. Recalling their first meeting, Lin Jai's gaze became deep. "When I first met Zia Lion, I felt she wasn't like the NPC in my memory. Her story was just a small detail in the game's plot." In his mind, a scene of chaos from that year appeared. Later, Meltown was breached and the chanter Griffin became the new ruler. Lin Jai's eyes cooled when remembering that ending. Mayor Green was killed and Zia Lion submitted to the brutal Griffin, becoming a helper of evil, his heart surging with complex, indescribable feelings. He continued to think in silence. She believed in the inherent evil nature of humans, turning that belief into motivation for hatred to grow uncontrollably in her heart. She became a helper of evil, became a villain, became a boss of the villain faction, and then was killed. Looking at Zia Lion before him at this moment, Lin Jai's gaze suddenly became different. But in this life, I unexpectedly discovered another side of this NPC that no one knows about. Zia Lion wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and laughed. Without a blade, I couldn't take you down for a moment. She threw an item toward him and laughed with interest. A meeting gift for you, no need to be polite, I hope for happy cooperation in the future, Lord Dawnblade. Recalling Zia Lion's spirited demeanor back then, Lin Jai secretly thought, she was also someone who was once excited about a simple, fun match. This time, the scales of fate might tilt a little in the opposite direction. Hearing the previous request, her face changed immediately and she said in a low voice, "Impossible." He immediately activated the special skill, True Sight Eye. In Lin Jai's heart, information immediately appeared. True Sight Eye has the ability to detect an NPC's lies. Zia Lion immediately gritted her teeth in annoyance and said, "This bastard is using the item I gave him to probe me." Lin Jai slowly drew a conclusion. The things inside are truly extremely important to Zia Lion of Dark Cliff. Even if she has to give up everything, she must keep them. Hearing that, she suddenly drew her sword and pointed it straight at him, saying coldly, "I respect you, Lord Dawnblade." Facing the cold sword tip, Lin Jai remained calm and replied, "This is my territory, Zia Lion. It would be best if you showed some respect. Only I can help you retrieve your things." Hearing those words, Zia Lion finally lowered her sword slowly. "This money is what I saved my whole life to get. If I don't follow the evil path later, it's enough for me to trade in this society. I agree. This quest is entrusted to you, it must be completed." Lin Jai helplessly massaged his temples and muttered, "To think I really accepted a quest from Zia Lion for free." He sighed reluctantly, "My head must have been caught in a door." The system interface suddenly showed a notification confirming the quest had been accepted. After a few taps on the interface, Zia Lion spoke calmly, "All right, the location has been marked on your map." Lin Jai immediately reached out his hand and said casually, "Give the item to me." She immediately furrowed her brows in confusion. "What is this? You want money? Just a moment ago you yourself said it was free." He calmly replied briefly, "Weapon." Zia Lion raised her eyebrows and continued to ask confusedly, "What weapon?" Recalling last time, Lin Jai immediately folded his arms and calmly said, "Last time you slashed my sword in two. Until now I haven't had a suitable replacement. Didn't you say you would compensate me?" She replied coldly with a firm voice, "I don't use a sword, only a saber." After a few seconds of silent thought, Zia Lion finally slowly drew her weapon. Its name is Night Wandering Ghost. Observing the saber before him, he immediately assessed. The weapon is long enough, has a blade, and can be used with both hands. To me, it's not much different from a sword. He tried swinging it in the air a few times, and Lin Jai inwardly assessed. Zia Lion's saber seems even heavier than it looks. Right after that, the system quickly brought up all information and special effects of the weapon. Carrying a hint of interest, he immediately tried swinging the saber, easily slicing through the tree branch in front of him. Lin Jai spoke slowly. If not for Zia Lion's mark, finding the entrance would likely take a whole day. Feeling an unusual aura, he immediately became alert. That mysterious magical beast must have arrived. Just then, a ferocious wild boar rushed out from the grass ahead. Looking at the information appearing above the monster's head, Lin Jai said softly, "Level 1 wild boar." Looking at the wild boar before him, he only smiled faintly. In the game era, this guy is basically food. Right then, in the sky above Lin Jai's head, a giant tail suddenly swept past. Looking at the black shadow that had just flashed through the air, his heart immediately shook violently. What? Lin Jai's eyes rapidly constricted in disbelief as he looked up. No way, right? Feeling that terrifying pressure, he immediately gripped the saber hilt in his hand. Why is there? Lin Jai subconsciously blurted out, "Dragon?" At that moment, the system's cold voice quickly rang in his ear. Detected level 8 Black Dragon Zodiac. Note, your current level is 2. Looking down from above with a look of disdain, Zodiac spoke coldly. Foolish human, thinking yourself extraordinary and even having the thought to challenge me. Truly ridiculous. From the other side of the communication screen, Zia Lion's voice suddenly rang out. Encountered it already? That's fast. He immediately flared up and said loudly, "You mean this thing? You planned to bring me here to die, didn't you?" Lin Jai continued to grit his teeth. A boss at this level needs at least a group of 5 to handle. She lazily and calmly replied, "The difficulty of the wild boss increases with the number of players participating. If even you can't handle this, calling more people will only make things worse." Leaning against the hot spring, Zia Lion watched the screen and laughed with interest. "Furthermore, little brother Dawnblade, I once dueled with you. Your skill level is far better than those useless level 4-5 chumps." Lin Jai gradually realized a huge abnormality. The monsters around the novice town shouldn't exceed level 4. Even the chanter Griffin was only just below level 5. This time, a level 8 black dragon appeared. There was definitely a mistake somewhere. Hearing his constant complaints, she only laughed and said calmly, "You performed operations single-handedly to take down Griffin earlier. That dragon should have a way, right?" Gripping the saber in his hand, Lin Jai immediately frowned helplessly. "That's a 6-level gap." He gritted his teeth and continued, "Is this a gap that can be closed by operations?" Zodiac's voice suddenly rang out, filled with authority and coldness. "Intruder, now that you have reached my lair, I will benevolently give you 2 choices. I can annihilate you completely right here, and naturally, even your ashes will not remain." Carrying an absolute tone of arrogance, it continued to speak slowly. "Besides that, I am also very willing to bestow a favor by accepting some new people into the ranks of my servants. You only need to kneel down here and praise the prestige of my zodiac." Hearing that grandiose threat, Lin Jai only laughed faintly and replied, "Not interested. I only came here to remind you that it seems you are occupying someone else's house illegally." Hearing that, it immediately became enraged, golden eyes flaring with terrifying killing intent. "Presumptuous, the treasures in this vault rightfully belong to me, Zodiac." He inwardly marveled. The game era has truly thoroughly exploited people's prejudices about dragons, arrogant, rude slaves to money. Right, it seems Zia Lion of Dark Cliff is like that too. Provoked, Zodiac immediately roared in fury and shouted, "Then prepare to receive my punishment." The cold system voice immediately sounded in his ear, "Black Dragon Zodiac has locked onto you for an attack." In Lin Jai's heart, the situation became extremely serious. Even in his previous life, he had defeated a young black dragon of the same level, but it required a team of 8 people, and he had already reached level 3. He secretly analyzed the current situation in his heart. In Era, the attribute difference between level 2 and level 3 characters is nearly double, even though I brought experience and techniques from my past life. Gripping the saber hilt in his hand, Lin Jai continued to think seriously. But currently, the performance of this body is too poor. He gritted his teeth helplessly. "Zia Lion, you tricked me." Right then, Lin Jai immediately leaned to the side, dodging a powerful attack from it. During the battle, Lin Jai's mind remained extremely alert to analyze. Black dragons usually only have 4 attack moves: Fire Breath, Claw Strike, Bite, and Tail Sweep. If any of those hits, it's enough to one-shot my current self. Zodiac immediately roared in anger. "Mortal, you dare challenge my authority." He secretly memorized every small movement of it. Every attack move had a slight vibration. When exhaling, it would lean its head back slightly to inhale. When wagging its tail, it would use its body to support its front legs and twist its torso. Staring at Zodiac, Lin Jai continued to think with focus. When biting, it will quickly lean backward, then open its mouth and bite forward. And regarding the fan-shaped claw attack, there will be an opening half a second after the attack. Realizing that move just now, Lin Jai's eyes immediately lit up. Half a second has passed since the claw attack. Not missing the chance, he immediately gripped the saber hilt in his hand. This was the moment for a counterattack. Right after that, Lin Jai immediately lunged forward, swinging the night-wandering ghost hard at Zodiac. Caught off guard by the unexpected counterattack, it immediately roared in fury filled with killing intent. "Damned mosquito." Looking at the giant mouth rushing toward him, Lin Jai's expression changed immediately. "Bite, can't dodge anymore." In the critical moment, he immediately activated his defense skill and shouted, "Griffin's Golden Bell." Instantly, a brilliant golden light surged, covering Lin Jai's body. Borrowing the opportunity from the defensive skill, he immediately countered, forcing Zodiac to retreat backward. Looking at the golden light around the opponent's body, it immediately roared in shock. What is that? Panting after the last move, Lin Jai wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Still lucky to have retrieved my life. If I can't break through the defense, what can I do to win? I need to think of a way." Zodiac immediately laughed coldly in disdain. "Looks like this item of yours can't be used anymore." Focusing his spirit, Lin Jai immediately realized that the dangerous skill was Dragon Breath Sweep. It would continuously spit fire in a fan shape. If fired head-on, dodging it was basically impossible. His eyes quickly became serious as he continued to calculate. Fighting dragons, ordinary players will try to keep a safe distance. However, increasing the distance will increase the breath attack range, making it even more dangerous. Staring at its giant body, Lin Jai's eyes gradually became sharp, the true safe distance. Then he quickly lunged, raising his saber in preparation to attack. The reality must be no. Zodiac was immediately shocked, roaring, "What? Why so fast?" In its heart, a sense of disbelief gradually appeared. The speed of this player was completely unlike a level 2. Before it could react, Lin Jai continued to swing the night-wandering ghost down again. He immediately frowned in annoyance and said, "What kind of name-brand saber is this? It won't even inflict damage. The giant tail behind it is still completely intact after the last attack." Zodiac immediately laughed in disdain. "Even my dragon scales, Zodiac, cannot be broken. I overestimated you, you piece of junk." Right then, from the communication device in the distance, Zia Lion's voice suddenly rang out. "I almost forgot to mention one thing. Night-wandering ghost is a bit picky about strangers." Hearing that tardy explanation, Lin Jai immediately frowned in annoyance and said, "Something so important, why say it now?" He quickly felt the abnormality of the saber. The inheritance of this weapon has a lot of spiritual sense. Those not recognized by it cannot fully unleash the potential of this saber. Lin Jai's eyes were serious as he continued to ask, "What are the conditions for recognition?" She replied calmly, "You must prove that you have experienced the test of life and death." In his heart, he immediately remembered countless quests he had experienced. "In the game, I have seen many strange conditions, but when it comes to facing life and death..." The corners of Lin Jai's mouth curled up confidently in the middle of the intense battle. "Then, I am the top of the peak." Watching the fire gather again, he immediately became highly alert. Dragon Breath Sweep coming again. Just as Zodiac spat out a massive sea of fire, Lin Jai immediately leaned to the side to dodge extremely quickly. While moving continuously through the scorching fire, he gradually changed direction to move toward it. Lin Jai's eyes locked onto the neck of Zodiac and silently calculated. The target is 3 inches on the dragon's neck. Looking at the special scales reflecting the light, he immediately confirmed the target. That is its inverse scale. Just as he closed to enough distance, Lin Jai immediately swung the night-wandering ghost and shouted, "Slash!" Sensing unusual danger, it immediately beat its wings and retreated strongly, dodging the attack. Zodiac immediately laughed in disdain. "Naive mortal, you think you can damage me with this." After the failed attack, he quickly landed and stabilized his body in the middle of the battlefield. Looking up at it flying in the air, Lin Jai helplessly frowned. Forgot that this guy knows how to fly. Right after that, he immediately activated the enhancement skill, Grip Strength Enhancement. Zia Lion immediately changed her expression and said, "Before it was fine, but this time it's Dragon Breath Dash. Your equipment and body absolutely cannot block it now." Lin Jai's gaze remained extremely calm as he gripped the night-wandering ghost in his hand. If this saber only accepts those who are not afraid of death. Scorching flames continued to gather in Zodiac's mouth, signaling a new attack about to descend. The corners of his mouth slowly curled up confidently in the extremely dangerous situation. "Then the famous saber in my hand now." Lin Jai's eyes gradually became terrifyingly cold. Must be worshipped by it like a god. He decisively lunged forward with aggressive momentum. "Because I am a war god returned from hell." Just then, the system voice rang out mechanically. "Hidden skill unlocked, destroy defense." Without a moment of hesitation, he immediately stomped on the ground and lunged straight at it. She was immediately shocked in her heart. What? How can he release power in such a short time? Feeling the unusual pressure from the opponent, Zodiac began to feel a sense of danger in its heart. This small human actually makes me feel danger. It immediately roared in fury. Despicable mortal, what virtue or ability do you have? Zodiac's golden eyes flared with murderous intent as it continued to roar ferociously. I will make you die in excruciating pain so you regret your insolence today. Lin Jai's mind remained extremely clear as he analyzed the situation. The skills of this blade are appropriate right now. If I engage this dragon in close combat and risk everything on one all-out strike, I can defeat it. It immediately laughed with utter contempt. Finally, you've made a stupid choice. The ignorant player flapped its giant wings in midair. Zodiac looked down coldly. Now that you've jumped into the air, you've personally thrown away your final chance to dodge. Amidst the murderous air, his gaze remained calm. Absolutely. No mistake, just one small misstep in this leap is enough to fall straight into hell. Feeling its scorching breath rushing toward him, Lin Jai silently calculated. The boundary between life and death is decided in mere milliseconds. Within his heart there were no fluctuations. But as for me, I can completely do it perfectly without a hint of hesitation. It's almost an obsession. Lin Jai silently poured all his will into one final blow, trusting the blade in his hands, both hands gripping tightly, his breath burning, every inch of his skin scorching hot. All the will he had condensed was poured into this moment. Seeing the small human still rushing forward without a hint of fear, Zodiac immediately roared ferociously. Die, you piece of trash. His gaze never wavered even once. I believe in these things, when in this chaotic world the only thing I can trust enough to entrust my life to. Amidst the blazing air, Lin Jai's lips curled up with resolve. This gamble. At the exact moment the blades were about to clash, he trusted himself completely. Beyond him winning, no other possibility existed. The impact was catastrophic. The force of the strike pierced straight through the dragon's critical weak point. The legendary boss crashed through the canopy of trees. Lin Jai stood amidst the thick smoke. The system finally confirmed the impossible elimination of the Black Dragon Zodiac. A plus 500% experience reward flooded in. A massive reward for taking down a legacy monster far beyond his level. His experience bar flashed continuously as he leapt from level 2 to level 4 in the blink of an eye. He leveled up to 5, receiving a huge amount of attribute points to specialize his build. Along with 3 skill points, he unlocked the prestigious Dragon Slayer title, the mark of a legendary feat. Standing on the dragon's massive skull, he examined the title's effect, which granted him absolute dominance over all low-level dragons. Lin Jai admitted he didn't focus on farming monsters, but the experience from recent achievements had pushed his level quite high. Zia Lion's face on the screen was a mask of total disbelief. When she demanded to know how a single strike could take down a dragon, he calmly explained it wasn't magic, just careful calculation. His eyes of truth had precisely identified the location of the reversed scale on the dragon's body. By timing the strike perfectly at that weak point and stacking damage buffs from the Dawnblade along with armor penetration, he bypassed all of its defenses. The system screen flashed a series of multipliers. Sword damage increases, critical bonuses, defense-ignoring effects, all stacked at once. Just one clean, destructive sword strike was enough to exceed the dragon's maximum HP, ending the boss fight in a heartbeat. Zia Lion panicked on the screen, asking how he could be sure those low-probability buffs would trigger at the exact moment he needed them. He replied with a confident smile, telling her that walking the line between life and death is just part of being a pro. Now that the adrenaline had cooled, he turned his attention to the huge amount of attribute points he received from jumping to level 5. The character status screen displayed basic stats with 15 unallocated points waiting to be poured into his primary attributes. He poured most points into strength, bringing this stat to 16 to ensure he could one-shot trash mobs easily. He added 1 point to stamina, just enough to meet the minimum requirements of his current equipment and avoid being killed in a single hit. Agility was increased significantly to 10, as he knew he would need extra speed and precision for more complex movements later. With his core build established, he decided to ignore secondary stats completely. He would rather master his strengths than be a half-baked jack-of-all-trades. The updated status screen showed a much more balanced and assassin-like profile. With his physical strength nearly doubled, he took a moment to admire the feeling of new strength flowing through his avatar, feeling more prepared for what was to come. Next was the skill list, which provided many combat options from simple slashing sweeps to heavy strikes. He prioritized Berserk, an active skill that trades constant health drain for a huge boost in speed and raw damage. He clenched his fist as the red aura of the new skill rhythmically pulsed around him. He knew this was an important prerequisite for ascending to the advanced Berserker class. With his second skill point, he invested in Grip Strength III, a skill allowing him to literally rip weapons out of enemies' hands. The system tooltip described the new bonus in detail, treating his bare-handed strength check as doubled whenever he initiated a disarm move. With his third and final choice, he gambled on a skill most players would ignore. Throw at face value. This skill simply allowed him to throw his weapon to deal basic damage from a distance. Zia Lion on the screen nearly fell over laughing at his choice, as she picked what she considered trash agility skills. Lin Jai didn't defend himself. He knew that to the average player just looking at the basic description, it truly looked useless. Most warriors avoided it because of the high agility requirement, and even those who met the requirement didn't want to risk losing their primary weapon. If you throw your sword and don't retrieve it quickly, you become a sitting duck in the middle of the battlefield. But he knew a secret the game didn't specify. Throw is only a trash skill if you understand the mechanism mechanically. Most people imagine ranged combat limited only to bows and crossbows, thinking that's the only option for a warrior. They are stuck thinking about future updates with guns and cannons, completely ignoring what's right in front of them. In his eyes, a player who understands the system doesn't need to carry separate ranged weapons. Because warriors already have the highest strength stat in the game, they are actually the most suitable for the throw skill. Zia Lion looked at him as if he had grown a second head, trying to process the idea that his own hands would be his ranged arsenal. He only replied with a knowing look, confident because he was holding an ace that no one else in this timeline knew about. She told him not to call everything trash so casually. She was clearly ignoring the sarcasm when he pointed at his grip strength stat. The hidden truth is that high grip strength provides a massive multiplier for the throw skill, turning a basic move into a god-tier attack. By combining these two trash skills into a custom combo, he created a technique he named Rainbow Pierce, a giant red energy projectile that zoomed through the air, dealing catastrophic damage to distant targets with absolute precision. The system congratulated him on his creative combo, officially recording the new move under the name he chose. With this one trick, he transformed himself from a standard melee fighter into a top-tier ranged threat. Zia Lion watched him through the screen, admitting she had never seen anyone with his level of foresight and judgment. She finally conceded that he deserved the reward and said it was time for him to receive his due. Zia Lion leaned back with a smug smile, promising to give him 10 silver coins as soon as they returned to town. Lin Jai was momentarily stunned, realizing their original deal was for far less than 10 silver coins. She explained that his impressive performance with the Dawnblade had made her respect him, making him worthy of higher pay. But she quickly added a condition, sticking her tongue out playfully while breaking her promise to resign as the manager of Dark Street. Lin Jai's jaw dropped in astonishment as he realized she was actually going back on her word right in front of him. He remembered his past life. He couldn't recall any NPC being so unpredictable and manipulative with their own requests. Zia Lion laughed loudly through the screen, reminding him that as the leader of Dark Street, she had the right to do whatever she wanted. Annoyed, Lin Jai still demanded the money, deciding it was better to never do business with her again. He walked away with an angry expression, thinking to himself that if she became a villain later, it was entirely her own fault. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet gave way, and he fell into a dark rocky gorge. He fell freely, with rocky debris falling around him as he plummeted into the depths hidden beneath the dragon's lair. He landed in a vast, silent room, illuminated by a soft, ethereal light from above. Looking around at the exquisite ancient architecture, he realized he had accidentally stumbled into a secret dungeon Zia Lion's treasure trove. His eyes widened as he remembered this was the legendary location that players had spent a whole season searching for in his past life. Yet here he was, finding it purely by accident. Lin Jai surveyed the treasure, but there was no gold, silver, or legendary equipment. There was only a pile of dusty old toys and tattered rag dolls, things usually associated with a child's childhood. He stopped, his gaze falling on a framed photo hanging on the stone wall. He stood alone amidst the pile of stuffed toys, looking down at the photo that seemed out of place in a gang leader's treasure trove. The photo showed a joyful young purple-haired girl hugging Oliver Green, the mayor of Mel Town. The realization hit him: Zia Lion wasn't just a gang leader, she was actually the mayor's daughter. A heavy boot slammed down onto a man's head. The sound of the impact echoed throughout the cold room. Zia Lion crouched on a stack of wooden crates, looking down at the intruder who had just discovered her past. Lin Jai looked up at her, realizing that all the protective orders from the mayor were just a father's way of trying to protect his daughter. Zia Lion turned her face away with bitterness, silently cursing her bastard old man. She jumped down from her high position, landing lightly on the stone floor. She argued that realizing the harsh reality early on right from the starter village was a lesson every player needed to learn. Her eyes narrowed intensely, asking if having that clarity wasn't a good thing. Lin Jai raised his hand, admitting he wanted to agree with her, but he had to object to her core philosophy. He looked straight at her, challenging exactly what gave her the right to decide who is strong and who is weak. Zia Lion remained silent, her sharp eyes fixed on him while listening to the challenge. The warrior smiled and pointed at himself, asking bluntly if she thought he was someone who stood on the side of strength. She admitted she liked the question, promising the answer would soon become clear. Lin Jai raised a finger to set a new condition. If he wins, the reward remains the same, but she must resign as the manager of Dark Street. He told her to live by her own law of the jungle. If she loses, she will have to follow all his orders. She responded with a mocking smile, asking what the price would be if he were the one who fell. The protagonist told her that would never happen, then threw the greatsword back to Zia Lion with a sharp and confident motion. Purple light flared as Zia Lion grabbed her blade, declaring that since he knew her secret, she now had every reason to kill him. She mocked him, pointing out that even though he was strong enough to kill a dragon, he was still standing there weaponless. Lin Jai didn't back down. He activated Berserk, and a burning orange aura flared up around him. The skill started draining his health, but in exchange, it granted a massive increase in speed and destructive power. Zia Lion lunged forward, her purple sword trailing light as she aimed for a critical blow. Lin Jai moved like a shadow. The speed of the Berserk state allowed him to keep up with her high-speed movements. She slashed down with crushing force, intending to end the fight right there. Despite the danger, the warrior remained focused, his eyes flashing with the intensity of the activated skill. A shockwave rippled out as he caught her glowing purple sword with his bare hands. Zia Lion's jaw dropped in astonishment. She couldn't understand how he could block her sword without a weapon. He roared as he performed a perfect parry. His terrifying grip strength held her deadly blade firmly in place. The collision between two powers created a blinding energy explosion that filled the treasure room. The force sent her flying backward into the pile of wooden crates, while Lin Jai stood tall amidst the rubble. She was injured and gasping for breath. She wondered if even her own sword had to acknowledge his overwhelming strength. He stood towering over her like a dark shadow, declaring that only the strong have the right to set the rules. Zia Lion still wouldn't surrender. She dragged herself out of the debris with desperate resilience, lunging again with her purple sword, her body surrounded by crackling energy auras. Lin Jai switched to a flexible combat stance, his aura flaring as he declared that he was the strongest one here. Zia Lion screamed that absolute power is the only truth in this world. He blocked her attack easily, nodding in acknowledgement that to most players this world was just a game where nothing mattered. He pointed out that in their eyes, no one actually cared if an NPC lived or died. Lin Jai's face hardened as he looked down at his opponent, declaring that to him, this world was more than just data. This was a truly bloody lie. Zia Lion was caught off guard, her eyes widening in confusion as she asked what the hell he was talking about. He recalled the past, the time he witnessed a reality colder and more desperate than anything she had ever known, which made him reject her law of the jungle. His mind drifted to a quest from a long time ago, when a broken carriage lay amidst the ruins of a forest path after a brutal monster attack. A digital notification appeared in his memory. A random event where one had to defeat a goblin raiding party to save a kidnapped young fairy. In this memory, a younger Lin Jai stood with a team of high-level players. He remembered the scene of a young fairy girl tied up and trembling on the ground, tears streaming down her face. A veteran player said that the rescue mission was complete and they had received the reward, then wondered what to do with this NPC. Another player, a guy in a red cloak, pulled out a sharp dagger and suggested that if they released the girl, she could cause trouble. He stood over the crying fairy girl with a sick smile, arguing that they should kill her right now to avoid triggering an alarm later. The girl looked up in sheer terror as the sadistic player reminded everyone that NPCs simply respawn after death. He licked his lips, his face turning truly monstrous as he suggested trying a different flavor by slaughtering a helpless girl. Lin Jai watched silently, his eyes narrowing as the tension in the team reached its peak. Another teammate placed a firm hand on his shoulder, warning him that these guys were powerful gold farmers and they could easily kick him out of the party. He told Lin Jai to just look away, saying some people play games just to find sick pleasure. The other guy even reminded him that he had a sister at home who desperately needed money for her medical treatment. Lin Jai heard the girl's desperate pleas echoing in his head, drowning out the cold logic of his teammates. The guy in the red cloak raised his sword, telling Lin Jai just to close his eyes and pretend he didn't see anything. In a flash of steel and blood, Lin Jai acted first, driving his sword through the sadistic player's chest to protect the NPC. The rest of the team stood frozen in shock. They couldn't believe someone would actually kill a pro player just to save a piece of game data. He let his sword drop to the ground, reflecting on how that single choice had brought him the first red name of his life. A red system alert flared, confirming Lin Jai had officially entered the red name state for killing a player. He walked away that day without further thought. His body had acted much faster than his survival instinct. As he left the shocked group, he muttered that this situation was fundamentally wrong and someone had to make a choice. He understood the system's logic that eventually there would be a new fairy to replace her, but he couldn't accept that coldness. His gaze rested on the girl terrified on the ground, wondering what would actually happen to this specific version of her. He argued that because the game's rules seemed to tolerate such pure evil, he had no choice but to intervene. He swung his greatsword with intense conviction, declaring that he would judge this world by his own moral compass. His face was a mask of cold resolve as he challenged anyone who thought his rules were unacceptable to step out and try to kill him. He stood towering over Zia Lion, his aura overwhelming as he asked her exactly what gave her the right to decide how others should live. He blocked a powerful blow, affirming that his right came from his willingness to draw his sword, even for the smallest spark of goodwill. Zia Lion attacked frantically while he exposed the hidden parts of her soul, the pain, the rebellion, and the memories she tried to hide. He parried her desperate counterattacks, acknowledging that even if he couldn't fully empathize with her, he understood her fear of loss. Lin Jai pointed out the flaw in her logic, saying that her actions only succeeded in hurting those who actually cared about her. She screamed at him to shut up, her composure completely shattered as she swung her sword with everything she had left. He blocked her attack with a lightning-fast parry. The collision created a blinding white burst of light between the two. In that instant, he discovered a critical gap in her stance, his sharp eyes locked onto the weak point. The warrior prepared to deliver the finishing blow, his hand gripping the heavy scabbard as it began to glow with power. Zia Lion could only watch in horror as he said he would teach her a lesson, just like teaching a naughty child. He swung the heavy scabbard with crushing force, intending to break her spirit once and for all. The blow landed true, sending the female gang leader crashing to the floor, tears finally streaming from her eyes. She collapsed to her knees, the titled Dark Crevice Administrator appearing above her head as she crumbled in defeat. Lin Jai stood tall, looking down with a composed expression as a voice from below finally admitted defeat. Zia Lion remained on the ground, her eyes widened in shock as she stared at the massive object that had just struck her. She gasped in disbelief, asking how the sheath of Night Walker could exist when the sword was never designed to have one. Lin Jai began to step forward, resting his hand on the hilt of the dark, notched scabbard, and asked if that sword had been a gift from Mayor Green. He sheathed the weapon with a sharp click, explaining that Night Walker did indeed have a scabbard and that he had discovered this secret within her own treasury. Zia Lion denied his words, her face twisting as she insisted that she didn't need a sheath and that compromise only bound her will. He stood over her, his red cloak fluttering slightly in the wind as he explained that Mayor Green's true intention was for her to learn how to restrain her wild instincts. A subtle smile appeared on his lips as he prepared to reveal the true name of the power driving him. A close-up of Zia Lion's eyes reflected her inner turmoil as the word goodwill hung heavily in the air. The story flashes back 30 minutes to the large wooden building where the town mayor resided. Inside the office, Lin Jai shook hands with Oliver Green, the town mayor, a man with a signature yellow mustache and round glasses. Lin Jai looked slightly indifferent while nomming his price for the quest, demanding exactly 10 silver coins in exchange for his help. Mayor Oliver Green laughed happily, immediately agreeing and finalizing the deal. Lin Jai told himself he was wise, nodding that by triggering this hidden quest, the silver he had lost to Charlene had returned to his pocket. He looked into the distance with a satisfied expression, pleased that his good deed had begun to pay off in many ways. The massive sword sheath remained firmly stuck in the ground, a silent testament to his philosophy that a sword not yet drawn is the sharpest. He looked back at the kneeling girl and called her by the name she used in town, Zia Lion. A faint, sincere smile appeared on her face, signaling a change in her stubborn attitude. She admitted that losing to a player like him wasn't so bad and acknowledged that his title, Blade of Dawn, was well-deserved. She declared that the era of Dark Street was over, and from now on she would only be known as Zia Lion of Mel Town. One of her underlings, a man with spiky blue hair and a thick mustache, panicked at the news and asked how they were supposed to make a living now. Zia Lion flashed a cunning smile, suggesting they switch to the high-interest loan business, making Lin Jai wonder if things had truly changed at all. She added that the money would be reinvested into maintaining public order, allowing her to claim she was doing a good deed of her own. Lin Jai smirked and nodded, thinking the mayor would surely be happy to hear that the area around the town was finally being protected. A bright system notification appeared before him, confirming the completion of the hidden quest and a massive increase in reputation in Mel Town. Sunlight bathed the bustling town square, where players and NPCs went about their daily work. Lin Jai left the scene, nodding to himself because after returning the Night Walker sword, he was once again without a decent weapon. A brief memory of the match surfaced, the moment his previous greatsword was shattered by Zia Lion into a simple wooden stick. He raised the old wooden branch, remarking that its base damage was too low for his current level. He moved through the crowded streets, realizing that the most urgent task now was to find a weapon capable of enduring the battles ahead. Suddenly, a group of players in the center of town began shouting that they were quitting the game and clearing out their inventories. The crowd grew interested as the players claimed that a super rare heirloom artifact was looking for its new fated master. Two men stood on a platform, presenting a massive, glowing red sword, declaring it to be the legendary sword of Karsi Mel. Lin Jai stopped in his tracks, his eyes narrowing as he recognized the name of the legendary sword saint who had once wielded that blade. An imposing image of the sword Saint Karsi Mel appeared, a warrior surrounded by golden flames, whose title had even named Mel Town. The heirloom weapon stood tall in the middle of the square, though Lin Jai looked at it with skepticism, thinking it was nothing more than a useless decoration. The players around him had been lured in, whispering in amazement that a genuine heirloom artifact was being sold in a newbie village. He observed the crowd, knowing that those who had never seen the real thing would mistakenly believe this item was extremely powerful. A burly, dark-skinned player named Zaro with messy brown hair stepped out to talk to the crowd. Zaro played the part of a generous man, claiming he wasn't selling the sword but would give it away for free to anyone who wanted it. Zaro's story began when he accidentally drank poison and lost several levels due to bad luck. As if his luck wasn't bad enough, the next day he tumbled into a lake in a ridiculous accident. But unexpectedly, when his teammate tried to pull him up, they discovered a mysterious sword lying at the bottom of the lake. The sword seemed to radiate a mysterious aura. Thinking that luck had finally smiled upon them, both frantically looked for a way to fish it out. After that, they brought the sword to a bald old man's pawn shop, but he dismissed it as useless junk, Desperate, after all the effort of fishing it out, the sword was appraised at a mere 10 copper coins. Afterward, the duo decided to use this piece of trash weapon as bait, hoping to recoup their losses. Standing before the crowd in the square, Zaro pointed to the glowing sword and announced the rules of the competition he had come up with. Jabba stood behind him with a confident smile, arms crossed, while Zero challenged anyone in the crowd to an unarmed bout. A nearby player wearing a horned Viking helmet gasped in disbelief at the prospect of winning a free heirloom artifact. Lin Jai stood at the edge of the crowd, rubbing his chin and carefully weighing whether or not he should intervene in this blatant scam. He looked down at the wooden branch in his hand, speculating that the power of the world tree might allow him to combine the broken weapon with the heirloom sword to create an unexpected effect. A giant player with messy brown hair and the barbarian class tag stepped out, his strength stat of 18 glowing in the digital window. The barbarian laughed with absolute confidence, certain that his superior strength would easily defeat the thin opponent sitting across from him. Zero sat at the unarmed combat table, a cunning look on his face as he demanded 1 silver coin as a challenge fee from anyone who lost. The barbarian looked down at Zaro with disdain, noticing the opponent's base strength stat was only 12 and was certain of a quick victory. From the outside, Lin Jai observed the start of the match, nodding at the barbarian's arrogant smile as the two prepared to clash. Their hands locked together with a sharp pop, and Zaro's eyes narrowed as he activated a secret ability, Silent Weakness Curse. Purple energy erupted from Zaro's hand, instantly draining the barbarian's strength, causing his stat to drop from 18 to 8. With the curse in effect, Zaro easily slammed the barbarian's hand down onto the table, his face twisting into a mocking sneer. The barbarian collapsed in despair, lamenting the loss of all his assets while Jabba stood above, gloating. Lin Jai finally stepped out, his expression calm but sharp, asking for a turn at the unarmed combat table. Both Zaro and Jabba stiffened in shock, their eyes popping wide when they realized the famous Blade of Dawn was standing right in front of them. A darkness covered Zaro's face as he recalled the humiliating defeats of his past. He gritted his teeth in silent rage at the man who had once mocked him. He clenched his fists, his face becoming completely vicious as he welcomed this final opportunity to settle the score with Lin Jai. Lin Jai looked straight into his eyes with a composed expression, sensing the killing intent radiating from Zaro as the man's eyes began to glow bright red. Jabba watched Lin Jai like a hawk, convinced he was a hidden beta high-level player. He laughed inwardly, thinking he was about to humiliate a big shot of the gaming world. Jabba pointed at the sky, using an old trick to distract everyone. While all eyes turned away from the table, Zaro quickly drank an alchemy potion, boosting his strength stat from 12 to 14. Lin Jai kept a puzzled expression while Zaro mocked him. He thought he was wise, scoffing at the idea of modern airplanes existing in a fantasy world. Zaro took his stance, addressed Lin Jai as Blade of Dawn and told him to prepare to lose. He was clearly confident that the buffed strength from the potion would be enough to win. Zaro's face turned into a devilish mode as he funneled all his boosted power into his arm. Lin Jai just told him to wait a moment, still looking extremely calm despite the pressure. He was clearly confident that the buffed strength from the potion would be enough to win. Boom! A massive shockwave swept across the square and system notifications filled the sky. Zaro's arm was officially broken and he was disarmed in the most literal sense. As the smoke cleared, a giant hole appeared in a nearby building where Zaro had just been sent flying into. Lin Jai stood on the rubble looking slightly surprised at his own strength. A notification appeared explaining that Lin Jai had triggered the grip strength enhancement effect. Because his strength was much higher, the game treated the unarmed bout as a disarming move in combat, doubling the power. Lin Jai realized he had accidentally broken his opponent's arm due to activating the combat skill. Jabba stood to the side, horrified by what he had just witnessed. The system explained the mechanism. When disarming an unarmed player, the recoil force is applied directly to the entire body. No wonder Zaro turned into a human projectile. Jabba tried to salvage the situation, calling Lin Jai the fated enemy of my brother. Lin Jai just looked at him with blank eyes. He had no idea who this guy was or what he was talking about. Jabba went crazy, furious that Blade of Dawn didn't even recognize his face. Lin Jai ignored the outburst and reached for the reward, the glowing Karsi Mel sword. Jabba tried to intervene, claiming that things wouldn't be as simple as him calmly walking away with the reward. He was clearly not ready for the scam to end like that. He began shouting for the guards, pointing at Lin Jai and accusing him of intentionally hurting his brother. Jabba demanded the guards throw Lin Jai in jail for at least 24 hours for assault. He acted as if this were a brutal attack rather than a lost bet. Lin Jai just looked bored by the theatrics. He had seen plenty of scams, but calling the cops after losing was a desperate new low. However, the guards didn't arrest him. Instead, they greeted him respectfully, addressing him as Lord Blade of Dawn. Lin Jai responded familiarly, clearly having a good relationship with local law enforcement, explaining that non-lethal competitions were allowed, so they usually didn't interfere. This wasn't the crime Jabba had expected. Jabba started to sweat, realizing Blade of Dawn had significant influence with NPCs. He began to wonder if they were colluding with each other. He became paranoid, wondering if Lin Jai had a secret backroom deal with the game developers. He couldn't understand how an average player could have such influence. The thought of NPCs bowing to another player was enough to make Jabba break into a cold sweat. He completely lost control of the situation. The guard immediately cut Jabba off, pointing out that the competition was peaceful and there was no intent to cause injury. The guard flipped the situation and announced that Jabba and Zero were under arrest for fraud and cheating in the game. Jabba was imprisoned for 24 hours on the spot. He began screaming about being framed, still trying to blame game bugs for his humiliating defeat. He kept screaming that Lin Jai was the real thug. As the guards dragged him away, Lin Jai just ignored the noise and focused on his new legendary sword. Lin Jai gave them a final warning to stop scamming people. The system confirmed he officially owned the Karsi Mel sword, a major upgrade for his collection. High above the square, a mysterious figure was watching Lin Jai leave with interest. It was an old man with a long white beard and a glowing red eye. He was impressed that someone had actually managed to collect items related to the legend of Karsi Mel. He decided right then that it was time to truly challenge this kid. He wanted to see if Lin Jai was truly worthy of the power he was gathering.